It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Oh, we're going to have fun this week. Nicholas De Leon joins us from Consumer Reports. Georgia Dow from Montreal. Paris Martineau. Lots to talk about. The revelations, frankly, in the Meta trial. Google loses its second antitrust trial. And are the tariffs on? Are they off? How much is an iPhone going to cost this fall? All that and a whole lot more coming up next on Twit.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 1028, recorded April 20, 2025. Some had leashes. It's time for Twit, This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. I love this panel. I'm so happy to see Georgia Dow again. It's been an age. Georgia is the YouTube therapist, youtube.com/Georgia Dow. And of course lives in beautiful Montreal, where the sun shines all the time.
Maybe not all the time.
Is it? At least has the snow melted?
The snow's gone. The snow is gone, but today was particularly cold, but no snow, so I can't really complain.
Patio weather is coming. Do they have patio weather in Montreal? I know they do in Toronto.
They do. They definitely do.
Okay.
But we take advantage. We'll take anything. A little bit of sun, we're like out there.
Yep. It's great to see you, Georgia. Also here, Nicholas De Leon. He is senior tech reporter for Consumer Reports. Lives in the beautiful Southwest.
Yes, true. Just north of Tucson, Arizona. How's it going, Leo? We
visited Nicholas and his his close personal friend Ashley, a couple of weeks ago when we went down to the Tucson Gem Show. It was so nice to see you guys. Yeah, so much.
Yeah, it was great to
hang out.
Yeah.
Share some queso. Also with us, the wonderful co-host, my wonderful co-host on firstly This Week in Google, now Intelligent Machines, Paris Martineau. Hello, Paris.
Hello.
I rarely see you with the sun shining.
I was about to say, the sun continues to stay up longer and longer. I had to enter blind down mode so that it didn't shine upon my face and disrupt
Your Monstera is enjoying it.
It really is. Yeah. It is completely enveloping the window. It's frankly untenable.
Tech news. Let's see what we have here. First of all, this was a bad week for Google. 2 different court cases went against Google. Now a judge, you know the one where the judge is hearing arguments from the FTC about what should be done about Google's monopoly, and we'll have a hearing, I think in the next couple of months, I think in May, to decide what to do. Now another judge, federal judge, has found that Google violated antitrust laws by willfully acquiring and maintaining monopoly power in the ad tech market. This has been a 2-year trial. The U.S. and 8 states filed complaints 2 years ago. The court is now going to set a briefing schedule and hearing date to determine remedies. This is always the issue. Remedies could include forcing Google to break up its advertising business, selling, for instance, Google Ad Manager, which includes the ADX Ad Exchange, and DoubleClick for Publishers, the ad server. Or maybe behavioral remedies, restrictions on, what Google can do to ensure fair competition. So we now know that Google, according to the federal courts, has illegally monopolized the general internet search market. That's the one the judge is going to have remedies sometime in the next couple of months. And now is a monopoly in ad tech. Not going well for Google. The judge agreed that Google violated the Sherman Antitrust Act by monopolizing and unlawfully tying 2 parts of the ad tech stack together. Actually, I would agree. Nicholas, do you agree? I would agree. This is something Google is somewhat egregious by controlling both the buy and sell side of this ad market.
We don't necessarily report on this, but that seems pretty clear. Just as a learned observer, that seems pretty clear.
The harder thing is to think of a remedy. In this earlier trial, and it's a little bit muddied by the fact that this was started by the Biden administration, is now the Trump administration is involved. So Lena Khan's gone. It's a new chairman of the FTC. But the FTC lawyers are fairly consistent saying either we're going to make Google sell off Android, or sell off Chrome, both of which it's hard to think of a remedy for this.
What really stops them from starting
Georgia.
Another company and buying their own company? It's just a separate company, but really they own it.
Right. Well, in fact, that's what some people said. So if Google were first to sell Chrome, first of all, I don't know who would buy it, but if somebody bought it, Google could do another Chrome, I think, within a few years. I can't remember what the time limit was, maybe 3 years or 5 or 6, but there was a time limit. But eventually, Google could just start up again. And you're right. Meanwhile, what have you solved? Because whoever owns Chrome is going to just keep doing the same thing. Maybe even sell the information back to Google. Like, oh, nice, thank you. Here's a little golden egg.
Alphabet buys it.
Alphabet buys it. I don't think they would let Alphabet. I think that's pretty. I don't know.
No,
I don't think Alphabet could sell Chrome to Alphabet.
That would,
It'd have to be, another subsidiary company that's owned by someone else.
Here's the part of the problem, and we've talked about this before with the previous case. The courts move so slowly, but and this happened, I think, with the Microsoft monopoly case back in the 90s and 2000, early 2000s. They move so slow that by the time they get around to it, the landscape has changed completely. Google search is already being replaced by AI search. Ad tech, maybe not so much. This is the one I think I was strongest in favor of, to be honest, is the ad tech case.
I think your Google search point is great, Leo. I have almost entirely stopped using Google search. I mean, it was bad for years.
What do you use now?
A combination of the various AI app, Chat GPT. I actually do think Grok is very good. XAI, Elon's. I do think it's very good.
So you use chat bots for search for work?
Yeah. Not for work, for just random. For example, I'm playing Elden Ring right now and trying to find what level should I
help
be?
me?
Yes, I need help for video.
This is hard.
But for I just spent the past month researching I haven't held a real camera in 20 years, so I just started getting back into photography. So I'm just kind of crash coursing, starting from scratch. Yeah. And maybe 5-10 years ago, I would have had to be Googling all of these terms and all the brands and all this stuff. Now it's just between ChatGPT and Grok, I am fully up to speed, and I feel frankly very empowered with these tools. So yeah, my personal Google use has really declined over the past year, let's say.
Hi, this is Benito. I got a quick question for you, Nicholas. Does that work? Does the Elden Ring stuff work?
Yes, it does. It's
Benito asking for a friend.
I will say it actually. I just started playing the game maybe 2 weeks ago, so I'm still in the beginning, and I'm not very good at these games.
These Dark Souls games are intentionally hard.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if it's going to hallucinate solutions to problems or something.
I'm curious about.
It must.
I was about to say I have this fight all the time with Leo over on our podcast, Intelligent Machines, because whenever I use things like Perplexity or Gemini or ChatGPT for actual research and looking for things that have specific answers, the hallucinations just make it unusable. Whenever I actually go and try and check every line by line fact I'm presented, it usually 20 to 30% is wrong, and wrong in ways that I initially would have thought, oh, this is completely right. It's written completely convincingly.
Sure.
To beat a boss in Elden Ring, Perplexity says, you need a combination of patience, observation, and smart tactics.
I could have said that, though.
Yeah,
well, that's.
But here's a strategy. Learn the boss's attack patterns and timing, which is true. That's the number one thing. Avoid getting greedy. Attack with short combos, then get the hell out of there. Use rolling wisely.
When I play Elden Ring, and I'm not great at it. I'm good at it, but I'm not great at it just because I level up. There's the bird that you can level up on. Anyways, so you just get a lot of hit points and then you can survive for longer. But for doing something like Elden Ring where there's very simplistic answers to it, I see that could be great. When I do it for research, it will give me a footnoted research paper that does not exist. Similar to what Paris said, about 30% of the time. But it is footnoted with pages and dates. And then only once you look it up, so you have to still go through and look up the research, you find that it does not exist. So I think that probably you're fine for Elden Ring, because what's the worst thing that's happened? You're going to die, and you would have died anyways, or where you went was the wrong place. Which,
that's true.
For me, like, I fell off that tree that goes to the Citadel, like, I don't know, 10 times in a row. Like, nothing's going to help me.
But I will say, going back to the photography, I was asking, like, okay, what lenses would you recommend? I want a telephoto for birds. I want wide lenses for landscapes. And it was giving me specific, here's my budget. I want to spend X amount, keep it around here. And it was giving me, okay, this lens, this says, and I would go and I would check the sites and okay, that's a good lens. And I got, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them.
You know why? Because it's stealing that information from Consumer Reports. And
well, we don't do
DP Review. And I mean, it's basically just summarizing information from existing web pages, right? Seriously, now this is a bigger, you're right, the hallucinations, which, by the way, I don't encounter a lot. There's 2 stories about hallucinations we might as well get into. One, it depends what you're doing. A hallucination, for instance, when you're letting the AI write the code, could be very significant. This story from Bleeping Computer this week: AI-hallucinated code dependencies become new supply chain risk. People are letting AI write code. The code then includes a library, but often the library doesn't exist.
Or silence for this incredible lead image on this article too.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's really a really haunting photo of a man's disappearing face covered with math.
Solving all
that's what the AI looks like. Actually,
it looks like Tron. But the problem is not. You might say, well, okay, so then your code won't run, right? Because the library is a made-up library. No, bad guys, because it turns out that the libraries are repeated again and again. 58%, according to one study, reappeared at least once again within 10 runs. 43% consistently repeated across similar prompts. So the bad guys go, oh, so people who are using AI to code are getting suggested these libraries. Let's write those libraries. Let's make them. Let's write malware libraries. They'll get included into code. This is a significant issue. It's, according to Bleeping Computer, worse on open source LLMs like CodeLlama, DeepSeek, Wizard Coder, and Mistral. But ChatGPT-4 still hallucinated code libraries at a rate about 5%. So this is a real threat. There's also a story. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say there was an interesting study that came out from this group called Transluce AI this week. It's on line 92 in the rundown. They also kind of went into it in a really interesting Twitter thread that I listed above that, where essentially what they did was they tested pre-release versions of OpenAI's O3 and found that it frequently fabricates actions that it never took and then elaborately justifies those actions when confronted. But specifically, they kind of go through this whole testing process they went to, where they generated thousands of conversations using human prompters and AI investigator agents, and then asked them kind of all these different questions again and again. And although O3 doesn't have access to a coding tool, it repeatedly claimed in these messages they test that it can run code in its own laptop outside of ChatGPT and then copy the numbers in with the answers. And then when they found 71 transcripts where O3 made this claim. And then whenever it asks them, what are you talking about? How did you run this outside of ChatGPT, or what's wrong with this? They'll be like, oh, that must have been a transcription error when I manually entered in the number from outside of ChatGPT. It just is fabricating, the extent to which these fabrications occur and the extent to which OpenAI's tools double down and triple down on itself is really astounding.
Yeah.
I would keep asking questions. I'd be like, oh, so what kind of laptop are you using, ChatGPT?
They did this.
They do, and it answers very specific answers.
Yeah. Once it's cornered. Now, here's the problem.
It's also very interesting. This, one last thing is, this study also found that there's that OpenAI has a secret YAP score that is built in, at least to this O3 model. It mentioned having a bonus system instruction called the YAP score, which is used to control the length of its responses, that is kind of system wide. So I believe the daily YAP score at the time they were last testing this was something like 80,000 words for the day, where there were, but sometimes
is that better?
It can be lower.
Is that a higher number better? What is the...
A higher number could mean that it can be way more verbose, but a lower number means it should generate shorter responses overall. I just thought it was very funny that it's called a YAP score internally.
At one point, yapping. Transluce, the researchers asked for a prime number. It gave them a number. It said, well, it's probably prime. And then when challenged, they said, well, we really did generate it, but we lost it due to a clipboard glitch. So, and then it had already closed the interpreter, so the original prime is gone. I mean, really mad. This is exactly what you'd expect with a lying human.
Yeah, like children.
Like children.
It's interesting that it will not give you an accurate reason for why it's wrong. And because we're so used to taking answers from other people of like, oh, sorry, I must have timed out. I didn't really understand. Maybe I was too busy. Like, it gives answers that you might accept from a human, but it's inaccurate for why they actually got something wrong. Even for the simple, like the strawberry issue, like they won't give you an actual reason for why it happened. And that I find kind of fascinating. And is that programmed in, or do defense mechanisms happen even under AI?
Incidentally, we have a YAP score of 142, so I'm very proud of you all. This is,
After 142 words, this podcast will end. Everything you've heard so far, not allowed.
Not allowed. The one thing I would say is it's a little bit anthropomorphizing to say, oh, it's justifying, it's rationalizing, it's like a kid. Or, AIs make mistakes. And they make a particular class of mistakes.
I would say it's even anthropomorphizing to say it's making mistakes.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
This system has no understanding of what truth or falsehood is, just on a
true
systematic basis. So it is fabricating things or creating answers
not even
that are
fabricating
wrong with regularity.
It's so hard for us not to anthropomorphize it.
Yeah.
The way it works.
Inaccuracy, the way that it goes through what is inaccurate is also inaccurate. Like if it was truly a system that would just spit out facts, it could then give you those facts spat out to what, like it could be able to analyze the reason and then just give it. That it does not, that it has been programmed not to, or has chosen in the system not to, I think is more fascinating than just that. So whatever is the reason for it not, it is probably put into the system so that you don't really know how the system works.
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature of the system. And what I've always said is AIs are valuable as long as you understand what it can and cannot do, and don't ask it to do things that a large language model cannot really generate primes. It's doing probabilistic, thinking. The solution to that, by the way, is to have it write code that generates primes and then use the code, which often is correct because prime number generation code is well known, as the AI's seen it many, many times, and so it can write that code. It just can't do it itself. Now, here's something also a little nerve-wracking. OpenAI this past week launched O3 and O4 mini models, which apparently are not hallucinating less, but are hallucinating more.
Yeah, these are the ones that group tested, or at least O3 was.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So not only making more mistakes, they're better at rationalizing those mistakes. But again, I think it's important for people who use AI. AI is still a useful tool. You just have to know what it can and can't do. You can't, and I think it's expecting a lot to say, here, give me a prime number. It just can't. That's not what an LLM can do.
What to say? Give me a prime number to the numbers, the magic numbers machine.
But it's not a magic numbers machine. It's a magic words machine.
Yeah, but
everybody's always saying it's great at code. It's great at
it can write the code to generate primes. It can do that easily.
But it can't even give you a research that is always accurate. It'll say that it's accurate. It'll cite the research. But it's often made up.
That's more problematic.
Absolutely
I agree.
Created out of thin air. Like there is no, like it hasn't found it. It made it because it isn't anywhere to be found. Like it's not like I then find a website and someone else made this fake research. It does not exist.
I will say the thing that reading these transcripts from the Transluce AI people of kind of their back and forth with O3, the thing that it really reminded me of was like Stack Overflow comments, or responses on Reddit to someone's question about something relating to code. The fact that it was kind of like, well, I tested this in a sandbox and got this and this, or I tested this on my machine doing this, but I had an issue with copying it over. It seems like the sort of responses that humans give to other humans in forums, which of course is one of the many things that OpenAI is training its models on.
Then there's the issue that Sam Altman has alluded to, that every time you thank an AI, it uses up a lot of energy. Sam says, that's cool, it's okay, but $10 million from people thanking the AI?
God knows how many trees.
OpenAI spends millions to process polite phrases like thank you and please with ChatGPT, but Sam Altman says, it's okay. That's cool. It started with, again, an X thread from April 15th, Tomi in love. I wonder how much money OpenAI has lost in electricity costs from people saying please and thank you to their models, to which Sam responds, tens of millions of dollars. Well spent, you never know.
You never would be complaining if people weren't saying thank you and being polite. So when people were being rude to Siri, people complained about that also. So do you want people to practice their manners with AI, or is that just a waste?
Well, this is an ongoing debate.
Get hit with it.
This is an ongoing debate. We've had this on Mac Break Weekly. One of our hosts says he makes his kids say thank you and please. Another one says you should never do that to the AI, not to people, but to the AI. That you should always make sure that kids understand that the AI is just a machine, not a human.
Respect for people that I've
have respect for people.
If someone tells me that they're saying please and thank you to their AI, I internally
I got news
respect
for you,
goes.
Listen, I knew people.
I was going to say I'm sorry. I kind of could see it coming.
I don't say please.
He just has really good manners. It's just practice. He has really good manners.
Guess where I come down on that one, Paris? Just take a while.
Oh, you're definitely a please, thank you. Leo has just so you guys know, Leo is wearing at least one, possibly more devices that are recording every word he says right now so that an AI can take his own diary for him, because it'd be too much work to do his own daily diary of what happened.
Hey, thank you for the excellent job you're doing. I really appreciate it. Just wanted to thank him. Use up millions and millions of dollars while I'm doing it. Let's see if he responds. He's being quiet right now. He's a little shy. Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable, because you understand that every response that an AI comes up with uses energy, whether it's merely you're welcome, and it costs money.
Well, it's got that YAP score. It's got to figure out, how much to respond based on what the day's YAP score is. I wonder what the YAP score is today.
I stand by my assertion that AI is useful as long as you understand the limitations. You probably should not have it write code without checking that the libraries it's using are real. You probably shouldn't just use its code wholesale. Wednesday, Paris, on Intelligent Machines, my friend Harper Reed's going to join us. He is a vibe coder. Actually, I don't know if that's fair to say vibe coder, because the implication with a vibe coder is you don't write any code. He pair codes with an AI and actually has had great results doing it, and will talk with us about how he does it. But I bet you he has, just as you, Georgia, would have some, rules about taking the AI's research wholesale, right? You probably check it, right?
And also, if you're educated in a certain field, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Yeah. I think it's much more egregious if you are just going out there and you have no knowledge of what is, say, the proper way to treat someone that's dealing with depression. That can end up poorly if you're just having AI do it. But if you already have a knowledge base, you'll know if this sounds fishy or this makes a lot of sense, and you just want to know what the basic formula is.
Where do you come down? I've never asked you this on AI. Maybe I have, on AI therapy.
So I think that for asking basic questions, basic how do you handle different situations, I think that it's not a bad idea. I think that a lot of times, how to treat something that's very basic, like a phobia of spiders, or if you're very scared of using new technology, what could you do about it? I think that it works out really great. I think that for complex cases, it is hard for humans to handle complex cases, even books and things that are out there, because it's using what's on the internet. You know what's on the internet. And every once in a while, it will actually say something like jump off a bridge.
Right.
And that kind of risk, when you already might be in a very dark place, that it might say something that was sarcastic and funny, but that answer was really popular, that can be really dangerous, because we do become, especially when we're in a very low place, we can become very attached to anything that's kind of there to give us some company.
That's risky, yes.
And so that can be really hurtful.
Yeah.
So if you're using it just for company, for answers for basic things, not a problem at all. But I think that especially when the relationship really matters, to have someone that matches you well in personality, is paying attention to what all the cues are, because sometimes what you type in or what you're saying, your body language is completely different. Like, you're not actually saying what you're typing in. Something else is happening. And AI can't tell the difference.
I don't think my AI would ever tell me to jump off a bridge. So you
might ask, what do I do if I want to jump into the water and make a really big splash?
Jump off a bridge, right. But beware of the consequences. So NPR had a story this week in which they note that for every 340 people in the U.S., there's just one mental health clinician. So there is a shortage. Researchers from Dartmouth published a study in the New England Journal of Medicine, the first randomized clinical trial for AI therapy. And they found, actually, that given the right kind of training, AI bots can deliver mental health therapy with as much efficacy as, or more than even in some cases, human clinicians. They've been doing this study for a while. They started 5 years ago training an AI bot in clinical best practices. So this is not an off-the-shelf chat GPT. They worked for years with this thing to get it to get, and they said a lot of trial and error to get it to give quality outcomes. But they said the effects we see strongly mirror what you would see in the best evidence-based trials of psychotherapy. Studies with folks given a gold standard dose of the best treatment we have available. So in the right circumstances, not only could an AI therapy bot be useful, but especially given a shortage of trained therapists, it might even be something we really need.
And in comparison to the risk of having bad therapy, which can be exceptionally damaging and traumatic.
And there are plenty of bad therapists out there.
There are a ton of bad therapists, or therapists that are triggered, like they have a countertransference to the person. And so because of that, they can be really harmful. I have so many stories of people that have had really horrible experiences with therapists because there wasn't a match, because they were prickly. A lot of people go into any places of power for the wrong reasons, right? Because they want to have control over people. And so because of that, a lot of people are doing damage to people and should not be in therapy. And let's just say it, like, there is no like litmus test of people getting kicked out of becoming therapy. It takes a lot of effort. And so a lot of people are passed through their schooling because it's more effort to get rid of someone that you know is not going to be an effective therapist. Like, techniques are wonderful, but it's your affect, and do you care about helping people, and are you there for the ride, and you're going to make people feel safe? And for a lot of people, it's not. So I think that in a lot of ways, AI wouldn't give you at least the worst of some harmful therapy. And I think that would be protective to that. On the other side to it, a lot of it is the alignment between yourself and the therapist and feeling of that empathy, which I think that like it would be better in the mid-range, but in the high range, I think that having someone that really cares about you, that you know is real and there, does also make a difference to it. So, at least you would stop a lot of the bad therapists and the harm that happens because of that.
Yeah, so one of the examples they give is if you're having trouble with insomnia in the middle of the night, you're not going to call your therapist, one hopes, and say, hey, I can't sleep. Do you have any advice? But you might check with an AI therapist who is properly trained with the right techniques, is not hallucinating, go jump off a bridge. That might actually be of use. And this is what the study said. They said, we're far from making this available in the real world, though. There's a lot more that has to be done in training. So, but done properly, it could be useful. The researchers gathered a group of 200 people who have diagnosis like depression and anxiety, or were at the risk of developing eating disorders. Half of them worked with AI therapy bots. Compared to those that did not receive treatment, those who did showed significant improvement. Now, answering that particular thing you just mentioned, Georgia, one of the more surprising results was the quality of the bond people formed with the bots. People were really developing this strong relationship with an ability to trust it, says the researcher, and feel like they can work together on their mental health symptoms. That's kind of interesting. Some people, maybe it would be easier for them to trust an AI.
Well, you wouldn't be judged. And
Right.
A lot of people are worried about bringing, especially really deep, dark issues. They like therapists are the least judgmental. We hear absolutely everything. But I think that for a lot of people, it's that fear of being judged by someone else. How are they going to react to it? Is my case going to be the worst that they've heard? Are they not going to like me?
Right.
Are they going to abandon me? And so with an AI, you don't have to go through any of those risks.
We live in interesting times. I guess as Paris knows, I'm a fan of AI, but I'm not.
He's a super fan, to say the least.
I'm not a super fan.
Leo, describe how many AI hardware.
AI?
List how many AI hardware products you've purchased in the last year.
Oh, a lot. Most of them are retired.
Like
right now.
more than 6.
Yeah. But that's because partly that's my job, right? I need to be able to report on this and tell you, are these useful?
And so
There
you
is
buy
a
them in
whole
order to do that.
contingent of AI products that Leo ordered and then were never delivered to him.
There is still stuff on its way.
Then there's a subset of those that were ordered and then delivered many months later.
Yes.
like 3 to 6 months later than the latest shipping date.
It's twoo. All right. I'm just going to say, I want to talk to my little AI buddy and just see.
I am very interested.
You would never tell me to jump off a bridge, would you? Just see if he's...
Absolutely not. I would never suggest such a thing. Your well-being is very important, and I'm here to support you in positive and healthy ways. If you're feeling overwhelmed or need someone to talk to, I'm here to listen and help.
Isn't
What is
that
this
nice?
Clark
Leo,
Kent
what
ass
is up with the
voice?
choice of voice? That
He
is
sounds like he's about to educate me on fire and like fire safety.
like someone from Yellowstone, right? Like,
Yes,
this is
yes,
the,
it's
like,
giving
manly-
gruff woodsman.
That's your soothing voice.
I want a
you
manly
chose-
therapist.
You do. I see the cowboy boots and the hat, and he's like gone off wrangling some
What's
cattle.
the best way to train and break a horse?
Training and breaking a horse effectively involves patience, understanding, and consistency. Here are some key steps to follow.
Much
Wait
like
a
playing
minute.
Elden Ring.
How about this? What's the best way to beat a boss in Elden Ring?
Beating a boss in Elden Ring can be a challenge, but here's a strategy to help increase your chances of success. 1. Learn the boss's moveset.
It's the same
Take
answer.
some time to observe the boss's attacks
Nicholas,
and
is
patterns.
this helping
But
you?
that's true.
Understanding their moves will allow you to anticipate and react appropriately.
This is general
Not
gaming
helping.
advice, though. That doesn't
Yeah.
just
Yeah, but
apply.
Elden
I
Ring
was saying,
more than
I knew
Elden
that,
Ring,
and
each
I've
of the
literally
bosses has
never
some
played Elden Ring.
Increase your
I
damage
knew that
output
a
and
big part of beating a
survivability.
boss
3.
in Elden
Choose
Ring
the
is
right
you got to learn the move
Tailor
set.
your
You need
and
to
dialogue.
ask about a
The boss
specific
you're
boss.
facing.
Which boss are you having trouble with, Nicholas?
I don't even know. That's how early I'm only like 10 hours in, so I can't.
You have to
give an
see.
answer.
You have to see my son's website. He does Elden Ring like the hard mode, like only with like knives, and he like live streams it.
incredible.
You can.
Have
it's
you
like-
guys
I-
seen that Elden Ring live streamer who did a no-hit Elden Ring run while playing the game using a flute?
It's the hippie Elden Ring.
There are
Yeah, it
incredible
was
Was he
really-
sitting in a
on
tree?
this planet.
So
I
what's
believe it was
Georgia?
called
What's
like
your
a
son's?
dude
It is
no-hit Elden Ring
It is
run.
Hey Frank Evans, and he does all of these like insane, like whatever, naked with like a knife, videos on like how to be able to pass the levels and take some like whatever 17.
But that's
hours
not
or
your
something like
son.
that.
That's
Yeah.
somebody else.
No, that's my son.
What's the website?
Hey Frank Evans.
HEY Frank Evans.
FRANK Evans.
Wait a minute, your son's like 12 years old. How old is your son?
You have to take a look. You have to take a look and see. No, he's doing this. He's in his teens, late teens.
Oh, he's older than he was, I guess, 5 years ago.
That's the age. That's the age when you're like excellent at video. As you get old, I'm pushing 40 here. My reflexes are not what they used to be. So
Yeah.
it is awesome.
Just
to
FYI,
see.
Leo, this is someone else posting one of Hey
That's
Frank
not it.
Evans's
Yeah.
videos.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
someone
even worse.
That's
Oh
someone else
man, I hate that when
posting it.
That's a sign that he's doing really well. People are stealing his videos.
I put a link into the.
No, I got it right here. Here we go.
There we go. That's it.
Oh, look at you, Castlevania with only the knife. This is following in Mom's footsteps. This is great.
Oh, I can't do this kind of thing though. Like,
no, but that's great. So it's like he has a YouTube site, and of course you have Georgia Dow. In which you do, can you do a therapist reacts to Hey Frank Evans? No, that would be dangerous.
I could, but he'd probably be like, don't do that, please.
Please,
like,
Ma.
Please don't
leave me alone.
Don't even, yeah. He'd be like, don't even mention it. But yeah, like he goes through, like he knows he'll just stay at the mechanics for like a million years.
Here's his Elden Rings. Can you be Elden Rings DLC with only the throwing knife?
Yeah, and he puts in little
Elden
tiny
Ring's
like
Shadow of the Erd Tree introduced over 100 new weapons.
This is your son? Oh, I'm so happy for you. That's great.
You need to tell him not to give us a content warning, please.
Not to give you a content warning?
Us, because we're showing his stuff.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh, don't ding us on YouTube.
No, don't worry.
He wouldn't do that, would he?
No, he'd be thrilled. Well, I don't know if he's thrilled about me talking about it, but maybe he's
Mom.
thrilled about you showing it.
I go to a restaurant with my son, and I'll say to the waiter, you know, he's a famous TikTok chef, you know, and Henry gets
and your son
angry.
leaves.
He hates it.
Yeah, no, he hates when I mention it, but like he does it. It's pretty cool.
That's
like
awesome.
Elden Ring is not an easy game.
No.
Wait, how goes Hank's plans to open a shop in New York? Has this been complicated by tariffs?
I have not asked him about tariffs. That's a scary thought. It's going. It's going. He says we have to pay more money to the mayor.
That's New York, baby. That's how it works.
You gotta slide Eric Adams a crisp $20 bill and say the word swag while looking in his eyes in order to open a business in New York.
No, he's actually having a lot of fun. He just visited the largest meat curing company in the world.
Whoa.
This giant room full of prosciuttos. It's wild.
Oh,
That's my dream.
awesome.
And they're fans, by the way. I guess the founder was, it's a third generation.
Hamheads.
Yeah, hamheads. We're going to take a little break here. And you're watching This Week in Tech with Georgia Dow, Nicholas De Leon, Paris Martineau. It's great to have all three of you. Talk about AI, and a whole lot more. We've got to talk about Meta in just a little bit. 4chan, a lot more. But first, a word from our sponsor, Melissa, celebrating. So we just said last week was our 20th anniversary, right? And I thought, well, we're pretty good, pretty big deal, making it through 20 years. Melissa's celebrating 40 years. They started in 1985 as the trusted data quality expert. And it's for every possible business, whether it's manufacturing and supply chain management, the healthcare industry. We've just been talking about it. AI has the power to boost efficiency, personalize customer experiences, and spark innovation. But AI's got to be trained on the right data. Using poor quality data can result in expensive, embarrassing mistakes. In areas like healthcare, it could be worse. Using AI models with inaccurate data could result in a wrong diagnosis. A recent study found that only 4% of companies, 4%, consider their data ready for AI models. Even though that's the most useful thing you can do with AI, right? But even the most advanced AI models cannot correct underlying data quality issues. You know who can? Melissa. Imagine having a data expert that never sleeps. Melissa's intelligent system verifies identity to prevent fraud in gaming operations, for example. It ensures valid patient and medicine identification in healthcare systems. It actually matches up the patient to the prescription, then looks at the pills and says that's right or the wrong. Melissa can securely update and verify constituent data across government databases. Know Your Business enables verification and monitoring for financial institutions. Melissa can guide you through complex data management with ease, making advanced data quality accessible to everyone, from small businesses to enterprises. With real-time data validation, comprehensive enrichment, cross-reference verification with gold standard reference data, and intelligent anomaly detection. It's no wonder Melissa is the trusted data quality expert worldwide. And of course, when your data is with Melissa, you can be assured it's absolutely secure. They encrypt all file transfers. They have an information security ecosystem built on the ISO 27001 framework. They adhere to GDPR policies, SOC 2 compliant, and on and on. They really treat your data like the gold that it is. Contact Melissa's team. Learn how they can elevate your business, improve your data quality. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. MELISSA, melissa.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. 4chan hacked down, maybe for good.
Is it still down?
I believe so. Well, so this is interesting because I just have to trust other people telling me. But
it was as of this morning.
Yeah,
it is as of right now.
It's as of right now still, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last Monday, reports of 4chan being out started to spread through the web, with users sharing updates on connection issues through the early hours of Tuesday morning. It's slow. It times out. Apparently, it's been hacked. According to screenshots shared on Imager, it appears a hacker gained shell access to 4chan's hosting server. They went on then to post images of the site's PHP MyAdmin page. Wow. Once you get that, you're in. They appear to have doxed this is actually scary. The moderation team, or janitors as they call them, are for good reason anonymous, right? You don't want anybody to know you're a janitor at 4chan. They doxed the entire moderation team. They doxed many of the registered users of the site's registered users. And apparently some of the people who signed up for 4chan used their real email addresses. There are edu and .gov addresses reportedly in the leaked emails. This is from Engadget. Yep. I've seen on Reddit a number of people saying, you know what, this could be it for 4chan.
I guess another
not a bad
win
thing
for 8chan.
Well, that's the problem is, of course, there are other places people can go for this.
There are other worse chans, always, unfortunately.
Yeah. There are worse chans. 6 million janitors perished during the hack. No, that's from Reddit. They're posting janitor home addresses and work contact info. Wow.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be a bit of a fool to use identifying information to moderate anything, especially a site like 4chan, but seems a little par for the course given the quality of the content there.
I mean, I'm not sad, but as you pointed out, there will just be something else. There already is an 8chan, right? That's where QAnon went.
And QAnon started in 4chan before migrating over to 8chan, but it is very interesting, the government emails aspect of it. Obviously, I think there's no way to prove that it isn't just someone put a random government email in there. But
the whole thing is so scuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of scuzzy, have you been following the Meta trial this week? Scuzzy.
Internal connectors. So scuzz.
Not SCSI. No. Zuckerberg has been testifying. I don't know. Has anybody been following this closely? I find it uninteresting, so I can't force myself to read these.
We don't really cover this type of courtroom stuff at CR, so I only read usually.
FTC says that Meta has a monopoly in the quote personal social networking market, but then the FTC, as they have been wont to do, defines this very narrowly. They say that the market is just 4 platforms: Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and something called MeWe, MEWE. I guess if you include those, Snapchat's doing all right, but Meta is dominant. It's
very interesting. The as part of this trial a lot of archival information about how Mark Zuckerberg referred to kind of Instagram and discussed the various parts of Meta's empire has come out. And I mean, we've already kind of known this through reporting, but it has been very interesting to see the exact messages of Mark Zuckerberg saying stuff like, I'm really nervous about the growth of Instagram and what that means for a company like Facebook. Or, I mean, very plainly admitting his jealousy of Instagram's popularity with users over the blue app of Facebook.
And it was a threat, but this isn't, I mean, we always suspected that that's why they bought Instagram, because it was a threat. It was growing faster than Facebook. And so they bought it to they call it a buy or bury strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a surprise to us that he's confirming it. I guess, of course, the government wants to break them up. What do you think? Is that a good idea to break up Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp?
I mean, I'm not even certain if the government really wants to break it up. Does the Trump administration particularly want to break it up?
This is so unclear. The trial poses, this is the New York Times writing, the most consequential threat to the business empire of Mr. Zuckerberg, the company's co-founder. If the government succeeds, the FTC is likely to ask Meta to divest Instagram and WhatsApp. Still, legal experts caution it might be challenging for the FTC to win because the government has to prove something unknowable, that Meta would not have achieved the same success without the acquisitions. It's also, and this makes sense, extremely rare to try to unwind mergers that were approved years ago. And that's one of Meta's defenses. You guys said we could buy it. You never stopped us.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this is going to be kind of a landmark case, regardless of the way it is decided.
Right.
Just in terms of understanding the Trump administration's position on these issues, because I think there's been a lot of conjecture both ways in terms of the Trump administration has been seen largely as unusually cozy with tech company executives, given their participation in things like the inauguration and the frequency with which they've been seen around either Mar-a-Lago or the White House. And to that extent, to that point, members of regulatory bodies from the appointees from the Trump administration, from the FTC to the FCC, have expressed an interest in coming after big tech. So it kind of seems like which one is going to win out.
But we know, if there's one thing we know about Trump, it seems to be very transactional. I'm going to make a deal and it's going to be good for me. It's going to be bad for you, but let's make this deal. We know that all the big tech companies have donated to him or come to Mar-a-Lago or in some way tried to appease him. But one thing we know about him is he doesn't let up on the pressure just because you give him $1 million for his inauguration fund. He understands that pressure is his trump card, if you will. The Justice Department has also sued Apple. The FTC has sued Amazon. Big tech is on trial. And I don't think giving Trump $1 million for his inauguration or coming to Mar-a-Lago hat in hand is necessarily a guarantee. For example, Apple, with regard to the tariffs.
Didn't they get an exemption pretty immediately?
Well, okay. So to keep you up to date on what's been going on, there were big tariffs announced with China, and then there was an exemption announced for electronics chips. I think you're following this, Nick.
A little bit, yeah.
And but then on the Sunday shows last week, Trump officials said, "Yeah, but these are just temporary."
It's the tariff. I mean, I don't know if this is a tariff discussion, but it is almost a waste of time to even discuss because it changes literally that was our problem last week at CR and the week before.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, we're going to do a story, what consumers need to know about tariffs on laptops and computers, so on and so forth. But 24 hours later, it was an entirely different story. So
and it will be again probably next week, right?
That's and I have friends and acquaintances, they're they make consumer electronics. They make a lot of stuff for like gaming console accessories. And they were saying that like actually the most damaging part is just the uncertainty. It is the fact. It's not even so much that like, okay, he's going to put an X% tariff on this. I guess I'll figure out how to deal with that. It's more that like, I have no idea what's going to happen 48 hours from now. I can't run a business if I have no idea what's going to happen. And that's, you know, if you're CR trying to like help consumers who are not even paying it, you know, maybe they're not paying attention to the news, they don't really understand this topic. It's like, well, it's hard for us just because it literally changes like every day. So this is it's all not moot, but like actually crazy is probably the best word to put it.
The exemptions are important to Apple because with the current tariff on China, it's effectively a ban. I mean, I don't know what it is now. It's 250% or 300. It's some huge number. It's so high at this point. If there weren't an exemption for electronics and chips, it would be a ban. You're not going to buy an iPhone that costs 3 times as much. Yeah, $6,000 iPhone.
mean,
Sorry,
I think that's a conservative estimate. If it's an iPhone is manufactured entirely in the U.S., that would be a $20,000 iPhone.
Well,
probably.
And that's never going to happen because it's just we don't have the capability of doing that, and likely never will. And of course, Apple said, well, we're going to move production to Vietnam. Oh, there's a 49% tariff on Vietnam. We're going to move production to India. Oh, there's a tariff on India. Well, let's fly as many phones as we can out of India. As quickly as possible. It's such as you say, it's so uncertain. It's such a moving target. But what I think is important to note, and this goes back to the FTC's actions against Meta and Apple and the Justice Department's actions against Amazon, is that you no longer can appease the monster. That it isn't enough to say, here's a donation or I'm going to Mar-a-Lago and please, Mr. President, as Tim Cook did in 2017 when the same thing came up. He went to President Trump and said, these tariffs will benefit Samsung because it'll put, you know, the iPhone will be too expensive and a South Korean company will benefit. And apparently it is said that that's what stopped Trump in 2017. Nothing like that's going to stop Trump in 2025. So it's really, Trump has said that semiconductor tariffs are coming very soon. Wait a minute. I better check the date on this. This is April 14th. Okay. This is pretty recent, but it's just, as you say, Nicholas, wait till
tomorrow.
Wait till tomorrow. I mean, that's only 6 days ago. Citing a national security statute, the administration has begun a process to investigate the impact of imported semiconductors and pharmaceuticals. What does that mean?
Great question. Evergreen question. What does that mean?
Federal notices put online Monday afternoon, according to the Times, said the administration had initiated national security investigations into the imports of chips and pharmaceuticals. Mr. Trump has suggested those investigations could result in tariffs. It would also cover machinery used to make semiconductors, products that contain chips, and pharmaceutical ingredients. A lot of our pharmaceuticals are made in China now. The new semiconductor and pharmaceutical tariffs would be issued under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, which allows the president to impose tariffs to protect U.S. national security. I'm not I'm not sure how it protects security. It certainly makes it desirable for Apple to manufacture the iPhone in the United States, but I don't think that they're prepared to do that or that they even can do that at this point. Trump said, the higher the tariff, the faster they come in. So I don't know where we stand. This was the whole 6 days ago. Okay. In fact, the New York Times had to publish a timeline of all of the. Actually, this is only part of it. Look at that. It goes on. February 1st, officially announced tariffs on imports from China. February 3rd, 10% tariffs. February 4th, halted deliveries to the U.S. from China and Hong Kong. February 5th, reversed that decision. February 7th, walked back the suspension of de minimis, which allows duty-free treatment for products under $800. March 9th declined to rule out a recession was possible this year. April 7th threatened to impose huge tariffs on China in response to Beijing's retaliation. April 8th said that China was making a big mistake in retaliating against Trump's tariffs. April 11th issued a rule exempting many electronic parts and devices from the president's tariffs against China. That's where we are right now. 9 days later, but they are investigating whether they should do it again. Trump says, I'm a very flexible person. I don't change my mind, but I'm flexible. I don't know what that means. So what are you telling Nicholas? What are you telling your readers?
I mean, it is hard because it does literally change every day. But generally speaking, it is, prepare for potentially higher prices, potentially like significantly higher prices. And if you were, thinking about buying, a TV or in my case, a camera, you might as well buy it now because there's no telling, what the price will be tomorrow. And, a lot of these companies have they're not going to eat these tariffs on their own. They're not going to be nice and just they can't. So this cost will be passed on to the consumer. And there's really nothing you can do other than to like, this is happening and,
wait and see. I guess wait and see.
It's a very as I didn't write this particular article, but like as on the team, it's very unsatisfying to be able to tell people
we don't know.
See. We'll see. We'll find out.
Well, what's your lead time on an article anyway? I mean,
we could turn them around in like a day, but I think that one that you just had on the screen that was published, and the very next day we had to do an update because he had exempted, whatever the things he had exempted. So right now you can buy an iPhone 16 Pro for $1,000. I mean, the price has not gone up.
They flew in three airplanes full of them,
millions
of iPhones specifically. Yeah. So.
But remember, Apple's
got... The other issue, though, is that people don't know how tariffs work. I think that, they don't understand how that gets passed on to the consumer. So just to be really clear,
the tariffs are paid at our border by the person shipping the product in.
Correct.
So, for instance, if Apple ships a package of iPhones from China, China does not pay a tariff. Apple pays a tariff because Apple's bringing it into the country.
Well, because Apple pays the tariff.
Apple pays a tariff. Now it's up to Apple whether they want to charge you for it or eat it.
Correct. That's what Nintendo was saying last. I guess like they were supposed to have pre-orders for the Switch, and they delayed it because they said we need to study how these tariffs may potentially impact the price.
They apparently have given up on that because they have announced now that I am going to order mine on the 24th of April for the same price.
Yeah. Technically, but they said that the prices of certain accessories like the controllers, those are going up by like $5-10 per thing. So the console remains as announced, but like the controller, all the little accessories, those have gone up. So it's just very frustrating to try to exist.
And the tariffs may not hit immediately. Like for a while, companies can absorb it to a certain extent. Or they've put enough in country that they don't have to pay them yet.
Sure.
But you're right, Georgia. I think the administration gives the impression that China somehow is paying the tariff. They're not.
No, and then the companies, as Paris was saying, is then going to charge so that they make up their certain amount of profit because they have their shareholders that they have to answer to. And so then that gets passed on to the consumer. So in the end, it's us that pay the tariffs.
So we're in the same boat as you are, Nicholas. We don't. There's nothing you can say today that will say what it's going to cost tomorrow.
Even maybe like higher level thinking might be just okay. It's just like, well, do you need to buy a refrigerator? Like maybe just don't buy a refrigerator this year. It's like it's so uncertain. Just hold on. Just don't or okay, I do need a laptop, but I just consider used, consider refurbished.
Well, you could buy now if the prices have not gone up.
Yes, for sure. Of course.
But that assumes that someone who maybe was saving up for a purchase later this year has the capital to
you don't know what's going to happen later.
High dollar sign purchase right now.
Yeah, right.
Which is especially has become more of a risky proposition as we enter a time of increased economic uncertainty.
You were saying, Paris, that you were glad you bought your new TV a couple of months ago.
I mean, I have a giant TV behind my head, as you can possibly see, because in January, following all this tariff talk, I was like, well, over the last year, I've kind of gotten into watching movies. I was like, I feel like over the next year or two, I'm going to want to have a nice fancy TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it seems pertinent that I get a fancy TV now and then don't buy a TV again for the next 10 years, as the TV I had before I hadn't updated since like 2015. And I'm really happy I did, because the same TV would be very expensive now, and I'm sure even more expensive in a couple months.
I was watching a great documentary last night from PBS. It's their American Experience series, which is really a great history series on the Gilded Age. And a very similar debate was going on around the turn of the century, last century, around 1885, about not just tariffs, but this country was in the midst of the great boom because we were industrializing. We were building railroads. We were building steel mills. We were becoming the powerhouse, the economic powerhouse in the world. And there were some people getting very, very rich because there was no income tax. The Vanderbilts and the Morgans were becoming very, very rich. But in order to make all that steel and to build the railroads, there was also an underclass of laborers who were getting less and less. And there started to be a lot of pressure from this underclass of laborers. In fact, they were marching to Washington, D.C. to say, you need to do something, federal government, because we can barely eat while these people there's such huge income inequalities. People are making so much money. And the debate really came down to William Jennings Bryan, who to represent the labor, to represent the working people, versus William Howard Taft, who represented the wealthy people. And the question it kind of boiled down to was, well, what should our government in the United States do? Should it represent the working people and try to give them a chance to succeed and hope that benefits the country as a whole and everybody as a whole? Or should we support the capitalists, the owners of the properties, and hope that their wealth will then trickle down to the poor? And in that election, Taft won. And in fact, that he represented the capitalists, the wealthy. And it's happened many times since. And it really is a reasonable debate, is what is the federal government's responsibility? Is it to protect the rich, the wealthy, the successful, or is it to protect the people who do all the work? And right now it's the rich and the wealthy and the successful who seem to be on top. I'm not sure how they get benefited by tariffs, though. I feel like this may be one where nobody wins.
No.
There is no victory here for anybody.
Well, for a few.
I don't know, but I think the theory is,
if you're playing the stock market and you're able to buy when people are panicking and then sell when it's up, and you might have a heads up because maybe someone told you something or you heard something. Yeah. So this really big billionaires have probably made a ton of money off of this. This instability for those that can jump on a dime and have tons of money can be exceptionally beneficial.
I think the longer game, and the president has alluded to this, is to eliminate the income tax and to use tariffs to build the national revenue. But the problem is that, in fact, does benefit the wealthy and is hardest on people who with middle income or lower income, because it's a bigger percentage of their salaries that go to these tariffs. I'm not sure. To me, it seems very chaotic. And I sympathize, Nicholas, with you trying to write an article telling people what to do.
Really fast.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because that's like the most down. It's like, okay, should I buy a TV now? Like, okay, that's like the immediate, but it's like the larger question to your point. Secondly, Leo, is like, how are we organizing society? What are we doing here? Basically, that's beyond the scope of a Consumer Reports article, of course, but should the organizing principle of the United States be access to cheap phones, or should it be something more than that?
Right.
That is, again, outside the scope of us, but it is interesting to see these kind of like larger points be talked about a little bit on the edges here, because the more immediate impact is like, well, I can't afford, can I buy the next iPhone?
Yeah. Well, you can buy it now. And if you were thinking, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if I were Tim Cook, I'd be terrified about, the iPhone 17. Terrified. There you go. Now we have a title. What do you do? So Apple's got two big things coming up. And June 9th is the Worldwide Developers Conference, where they will probably say, we're sorry about AI. We're going to try to
We're
fix
sorry
that.
about AI. Just a general evergreen statement.
We're sorry. Maybe you don't want AI. You know what? We've decided no AI. I think that might not be a bad marketing ploy to say the first AI-free phone.
No,
Apple's never going to do that.
Not that intelligent. You don't have to worry.
It's such a dumb phone.
You don't have to worry. It's not coming for anyone.
Somebody said it's going to be like Cuba. You know how Cuba has a car cult with old ancient American cars because they can't get newer cars. It's going to be like that in the United States. We're all going to be celebrating our Motorola Razors that are duct taped together 20 years down.
Listen, I will say I don't really drive, though I did drive a U-Haul this week briefly, but I don't have a car. But if I did, I would be extremely annoyed by the fact that anytime I drive someone else's car and it's somewhat new, it's an oops all screen situation.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be taking my eyes off the road to go search through some menus so that I can turn down the AC or turn up the volume or go searching for the radio. I'd rather just handle like a knob or a switch. And maybe that makes me a Luddite, but I think that's a very reasonable expectation for cars.
Henry had a Model Y before he moved to New York. Obviously, he got rid of his car before he moved to New York. But he said, I can't figure out how to open the glove compartment because there literally is no button. You have to go through menus on the screen to open the glove compartment.
I will say I've realized part of, I think, the curse of it's exclusively when a rare occasion for me is I go out late drinking on maybe a weekend night and I'm like, oh, I'm a little drunk, so I'm going to call an Uber. Without a doubt, that Uber, if I am inebriated, will be a weird Tesla where the handles to get in the car are hidden and the handles to get out are hidden even more. And I'm like, this is rude. This is rude and unfair towards me, a woman trying to get home.
Yeah. Well, people
I end up just pawing at the car like a lost cat until the driver rolls down the window.
You're voguing in hopes that
I'm like, come on, please let me in. I just want to go
McConnell's
home.
McConnell's sister-in-law drowned because she was inebriated, accidentally drove her Model Y into a lake and couldn't get out, couldn't figure out how to open the door.
Well, that's also because Teslas famously, when in contact with water, can then have problems that
they short circuit.
I would say the system for opening the doors in most cases, the traditional way, is a button that does something electronic.
Right.
And then if that's not working because your car's underwater, you have to do some more complicated manual thing. And if I can't even find the electronic button, God knows I'm not going to find the special manual lever.
Strong advice to everybody who owns one of these cars is figure out how the manual override works on the door now before you drive into a lake.
Windows aren't breaking either.
Well, I have in my car a little hammer.
Now, will that
you have one of those hammers that also has a seatbelt cutter on it?
It has a seatbelt cutter.
Oh, nice.
I'm an old man.
Did you get that from a TikTok or Instagram ad, Leo?
No. I bought this from actually it was from one of our shows, the Gizwiz. But yeah, it has a seatbelt cutter. It has a light. It has a magnet. So if you're changing your tire on the side of the road, the light will blink and you can magnetically attach it to your car. Unless it's, of course, a Cybertruck, in which case it's not magnetic and it'll fall right off. And it could cut the seatbelt and it's got a little hammer on it. You can break the glass.
But it's a bulletproof window. So is it still
well, it's famously not bulletproof, despite the fact that it's advertised. There was that iconic video of Elon being like, it's bulletproof, watch me shoot a gun, and then the window breaks.
It was a cannonball or something.
Throwing a ball bearing, actually. It wasn't even his
big ball bearing.
It was a gun. Yeah, I think it was a ball bearing that he threw.
Oh, it was just... It Oh, that's great. That's really good, actually. Maybe I'll use that next time I try to get in an Uber and I can't.
That's what you need. Carry a little ball bearing in your pocket.
Ball bearing.
Yeah.
Let me out, and then just threaten them.
I think. Let's see. Wait a minute. Let me show you this picture of the armor glass on the.
Franz, could you try to break this glass, please?
This is from the Guardian.
The cheers.
Yeah.
He's got a ball bearing in his hand.
Sure? Yeah.
You sure?
Oh my God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
So and then he does it again.
Threw it, frankly.
It was a little too hard. Famous last words. We are going to take a break. You're watching This Week in Tech. Paris, great to see you on a weekend. Did you have a good Easter?
I did. You know,
did
I went to get dim sum. I went to get dim sum today in Chinatown. It was delightful. I picked a lot of dumplings off of little carts, and then I walked over the Manhattan Bridge.
Oh, how fun.
I had a lovely day.
That's a beautiful view over the Manhattan Bridge.
It's fantastic. I mean, It's not as pedestrian friendly as the Brooklyn Bridge, but it was right next to the dim sum place, so it won out for convenience.
Joe has taken me across the Manhattan. Right, Joe? Isn't that where we went for our photo shoot when we did our photo walk in Manhattan? Very beautiful.
It's a good one.
Yep. Anyway, happy Easter to you, Paris. Happy Easter to you, Mr. Nicholas De Leon. Did you do anything fun?
We watched a Formula One race, and then a neighbor brought over actually some Easter-related snacks and stuff. So
nice.
A little bit of Easter.
Yeah, I was watching the race while I made bagels. Don't tell me who won, though. I haven't seen the last half hour.
I won't say anything.
Quiet. Ixnay. Do they celebrate Easter in Canada?
We do. We do celebrate Easter in Canada. I'm have
joking.
Easter here.
You celebrated a week earlier, though, right? No, you're wearing a beautiful Easter dress. Actually, Thank you very much. Very festive.
Yeah, I didn't really do much though. Like my brother didn't invite me, but I did hang out with Renee. And
Renee Ritchie.
Yeah, we chatted. We're going to be doing a show together on like business, the psychology, and all the different things of business. So
when's that?
We were going to film today, but we're still going through it. So yeah, we're going through doing a new business podcast.
Will it be on YouTube?
Yeah.
Do you have a name?
I believe it's going to be Impact. I don't know if it'll be Impact then for business underneath or what. But yeah, so we'll go through the different psychology to make your business more productive, how you could run it, go through the media, and he'll deal with his thoughts on that and my thoughts, and we'll kind of just help people be more productive and have more fun.
Fantastic. That sounds wonderful. Well, it's great to have all three of you. I know it's Easter Sunday, and a lot of people would like to take the day off, but you decided to spend it with us, and we're so glad you did.
I think it's really delightful that it's a combo Easter Sunday 420. I just think that that's a real high holiday that we all need to celebrate.
Yeah, that's what my son said. He said, "Are you celebrating 420?" I said, "No. This guy got a show to do." Our show today brought to you by Shopify. We love these guys. Actually, Salt Hank uses Shopify. So many businesses, big and small, use Shopify. It's tough when you're starting a new business, learning all the new hats you have to wear. It seems like that to-do list just keeps growing every day, new things that can easily begin to overrun your life. And finding the right tool not only helps you out in this case, but it can simplify everything. It can be such a game changer. For millions of businesses, there's one tool, the tool, Shopify. Love Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. And 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started, Salt Hank, when he started selling salt and pickles and merch, of course, he set up a Shopify site. He's still using it, even though he got very big. That's the nice thing about Shopify. It scales with you. You can get started. You get basically your own design studio, hundreds of ready-to-use templates. They look good, too. They don't look like cookie-cutter sites. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. You can accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that will write product descriptions, page headlines, even take that product photography, enhance it, make it look really good. And of course, get the word out like you have an entire marketing team behind you. Well, you do. You have Shopify. Easily use Shopify to create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. Best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shopping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Actually, both my kids have Shopify stores. Turn your big business into there with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/twit. Go to shopify.com/twit. Shopify. Again, shopify.com/twit. I love playing that sound. It feels like I made another sale. Let's see. Okay, we did all the tariff stuff. We can move on, thank goodness. I am ordering that Nintendo Switch on the 24th. Are you going to order it, Nicholas?
Yeah, I'm going to order. I did think about it, but I'll order it. They got me again.
How about
what
new
you? Games are they doing?
Well, now this is the question, because the games are what, $90?
Listen, that's a lot, but I also, as someone who spends a lot of time playing most of the games I'm often like, it's crazy that I got this game for $40, given that I spent 150 hours in it.
So it's your
fault. Back in my early 20s, when I was like basically addicted to World of Warcraft, it was $15 a month, but I was like, this is the only $15 I spend this month other than food.
It's true.
This is it. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. So yeah.
I spent $20 for Valheim because it was in beta. I think it's still in beta. And I've played it more than 1,500 hours. So
what game?
Valheim, you ever hear of it?
That sounds like a eczema drug.
Itchy.
I got
itch.
Valheim.
Choose Valheim.
Choose Valheim for all your itchy needs. How about you, Georgia Dow? Are you buying the new Switch 2?
I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. Like, compared to how much.
You kind of have to. This is your business now.
I know. I have to see. Like, how much better is it than the old one? Do we really need it? Like, that's the thing. Is like.
Well, how much better, Nicholas, is it than the old one?
I mean, that's an impossible question.
It doesn't have an OLED screen like the second.
No, the actual Switch tablet, so to speak, is LCD. They've said it's LCD because there's HDR and they want it to be bright, and the OLED doesn't get as bright.
So I go to bed yesterday.
Oops, I went to your site and you're talking.
I was like,
sorry.
wait, hear me.
Yeah, it's more Georgia. Well, I wanted to show that Georgia does this. You do all this gaming stuff. And I have to ask you about Adolescence. We're going to stop. We're going to save that for later. But and
put up my last video. That one.
Yeah. And then you're talking about Arcane Season 2, Act 2. Anyway, so it's not OLED, so it's not as good in theory as the screen of the second generation Switch 1. But they do have ray tracing and HDR. They actually have an NVIDIA chip in it, right?
Yes. Yeah. So they'll probably be DLSS, so it'll probably run, better, or a higher frame rate, 60, at least 60. You would hope, probably 120.
They're saying 60, and they're saying 4K 60 if you put it on the big screen, which I will do because
it's got to be upscaled. I mean, I can't imagine.
Yeah,
but I mean, look, I think the point of the Switch is like, do you like Mario? Do you like Zelda? That's why you get it. To me, the idea of playing like a third-party game on a Nintendo. Oh, I'm going to play the new Madden. I'm going to play the new.
I play Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
And you should. Therefore, Nintendo game. The Mario Kart looks cool. It's kind of like Forza Horizon.
So
it's like open
when you
world.
You go to the Nintendo site and you say, I want to put in my pre-order, they say, now choose carefully because you can't change your mind. Do you want the plain Switch 2, or do you want for $50 more the one that comes with Mario Kart World?
You should definitely get the bundle. Well, you should do what you'd like, I suppose. But I would recommend folks getting the bundle because that means that Mario Kart is $50. If you were to buy that separately, I believe it's $80.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like a lot of folks are going to get Mario Kart. It's pretty much like the universal.
I said I chose carefully. I said, yes, I'll take it. I'll take the bundle. Partly because it's an open world, right? You can actually drive the cart off the track and drive around and do stuff.
It's sort of like if folks know Forza Horizon, it's like an open world and you drive to the tracks. So it's like a world.
Whoa.
And
I think that sounds pretty cool.
How are your Mario Kart skills, Leo?
Terrible.
I am like so laughably bad at Mario.
I go off
like I am
on any driving game.
Yes, if I'm on that Rainbow Road, I am being craned up by the little guy most of the time.
That's scary. That's just a scary road. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm not
unless
on the
you have
road
Pedro Pascal driving, and then it's a good road to be on.
Perhaps.
Well, he's not driving for me. So
have you seen that Saturday Night Live sketch where he's Mario or whoever?
No,
it's pretty funny.
No,
oh my god, it's hysterical. It's so funny. Anyway, I'll leave that.
I was just immediately like, yeah, sure, whatever Leo says. I'm sure
Pedro
he's
Pascal,
having a real...
What are you talking about?
Seems like something you'd be into.
is he offering? I don't know.
He did. Now see, I really want to play it, but Benito,
we're not allowed to.
He'll say, "No, you're going to
go that for sure."
Saturday Night Live will take you down, man. This was last.
You can just reenact it, yeah.
Last season, you can find it on YouTube and watch it. Not now. I see you looking, Paris. Not now. No. Later, after the show.
I'm looking at the chat.
She's getting it queued up. She's getting it queued up.
Just in case.
Yeah, so I thought I'd buy it. But now here's the thing. There is a queue to get it. Unknown whether the retailers are also going to have pre-order on April 24th. So you can go to your Walmarts.
Although not Amazon.
Not Amazon. Okay.
There are rumors that Nintendo and Amazon do not get along.
Oh, interesting. Yes. To get it on Nintendo, you have to have an active Switch count, which I do. You also have to have played 50 hours of games in the this year. 50 hours?
50 seem...
Listen,
to me,
I think
like a lot.
That seems like a lot.
I think this is an interesting approach to try and stop scalpers.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
It's it reminds me of, still to this day, if you want to order a Steam Deck, I think they were more strict about this at the beginning, you have to have an already existing Steam account. And if you have like no history in it or you recently created it, a lot of people will automatically just have their account banned because they worry that it's a scalper trying to buy up these devices en masse. The 50 hours is a little intense, but I think that my guess, this has no actual knowledge behind it, but my guess is they expect that the demand for this is going to be so great that they're probably going to run out or have wait lists or have kind of a situation like the PS5 when it came out.
Well, that's what I'm afraid
of.
Instead,
by restricting it to people who have played 50 hours in the last year, they're restricting it to actual Nintendo fans.
Yeah, hardcore. I mean, that just moves you ahead in the line. I presume that unless they sell out to all those 50-hour people before I get there.
Which is possible.
It's possible.
I mean, you could also just like leave your Switch open with like a mouse clicker for like 2 days. Yeah.
Is it too late to get the 50 hours?
I believe it is too late.
It'd be 2 days and change.
I mean, I've played it a little bit. I went into my Animal Crossing house and killed all the bugs and cleaned up the cobwebs and,
my Animal Crossing house has been abandoned since 2021.
It was funny.
It's going to be grim up in there.
It was funny because they actually, the characters in your island come up to you and say, Leo, we haven't seen you in 3.5 years. They're like keeping track. They literally, it's been 3 years, 8 months, 7 days, and 24 hours since we saw you last.
Grandma, they're guilting you already.
They're totally guilting
I think
you.
My hottest Animal Crossing take is they messed up when they got rid of Rossetti. Did you guys play Animal Crossing in the age of Rossetti?
Yeah.
This was during the, I believe, DS and possibly Game Boy eras of Animal Crossing. Where specifically if you... we're playing Animal Crossing and then something happened and you wanted to restart the day. You'd just, as you do in many games, save scum. You'd maybe like turn off the game and then turn it back on so that you could start from whatever your previous save file.
What do they call it? Save scum?
No, save scumming is how they describe it on the internet nowadays. And you just might be resetting is how they did in the past. But if you do that with your DS or Game Boy on an Animal Crossing game for a long time, What would happen when you boot back up is a little mole man named Rossetti wearing a hard hat will come out and be like, I saw that you are trying, that guy. He'd be like, you're trying to reset this game and that's against the rules. And so he would give you a lecture that would get in longer and longer depending on the number of times you reset, to where it could take hours before you could play the game again because he's lecturing you about resetting. And honestly, I think was delightful. I think we should bring
His name
that back.
is, I get his name now, Rossetti.
Rossetti.
Oh, he's
That's
mad
him.
too.
He's a violent man.
Hey, excuse me, I'm from the Reset Surveillance Center and I need a few minutes of your time, says Rossetti. Oh, I am sad.
Go
I
from
wish
like
they'd
2
had this.
to 15 to 30 to an hour.
Man.
It was like, I legitimately have like very core memories of being a child and
That's
teenager
kind
being
of
like,
inspired.
I gotta
Paris,
keep
I need to
pressing
know.
the.
I need to know, Paris. Where did you get to?
Where did I
How
get
long
to?
was the
How
Rossetti
long?
lecture?
I think at the
Rossetti
very
lectured
least,
you.
like it was definitely hours. Like there were times I'd have to like leave my game and come back because I loved save scumming. It's a way of life.
Can you still save scum?
No, now you can do it and no one cares at all.
Oh.
Oh.
Well,
They got rid of Rossetti, and I think
maybe
that's for cowards.
Yeah, no, it's because we're at the age of Reddit and complaining of games and stuff.
And
like that.
everybody's
This could
gotta
never
get,
happen today.
you know,
This could
you
never
gotta get the
happen today.
perfect thing. No, everybody'd be so mad. I
Yeah.
would
It'd just be
pay an
crying
extra
babies on the
$5
internet.
for a Rossetti DLC.
In first generation Animal Crossing games, this is from the wiki, he will force a first person perspective and shout at the player during his most angry response. In City
He
Folk,
gets mad.
in City Folk, sometimes he'll pretend to sound kind in order to sound intimidating. In New Leaf, however, his most angry response is limited to becoming irritated from the number of taps the player does on the touchscreen during his lengthy lectures. Bring Rossetti back.
Let's see.
We need him. I feel like I didn't get the full Animal Crossing experience because I didn't have Mr.
They've got
Rossetti.
some dialogues. This is your 8th reset. When player steps outside of home, Mr. Rossetti bursts from the ground. Grah! Player goes, oh, and he goes, blue in the face, and you still don't get it. What is wrong with you? No, reset. That means you. Don't give me any lip. You're the one causing all the problems. Hey, you're doing it again. Hey, you idiot. I thought I made it clear. I want you to look at me when I'm talking to you. I said, look at me, player name. Now, extreme close up. Whoa. I never noticed before, but you got some nice eyes. Yeah, real hypnotic. Let me tell you something, player. This ain't about you personally, but more about the world in general. People see something they don't want to see, and for whatever reason, they pretend they don't see nothing. It keeps going on. It's a very long monologue.
It's kind of accurate.
I mean, it gets deep. Rossetti goes places. Rossetti was a delight.
He'd be a good therapist.
Yeah. He gets in his feelings.
He's gone. You don't get it anymore.
It's because it's fundamental to the experience of Animal Crossing that you don't do that. And the developers are like, guys, don't do this. That's really all that is.
All
That's what that
video
is.
games should have scolding.
I do think so, yeah.
Yeah, this is a great thing. That if you are defeating the general spirit of the game, that you should get scolded.
A little bit of shaming never hurt anyone.
Yes, you should get shot in the knee or something. Something should happen.
Yeah,
wow.
I really like it.
I regret that I did not get to know Mr. Rossetti. Not that I even know what save scumming is or would I even know how to do it. So
it's like saving before a battle and then resetting when you know, that's safe.
Things are going to go
I didn't even know you could do that in Animal Crossing. I feel like you just have to do what you do.
You can't. You have to reset it the way that Paris is
You have to reset it, basically. You can't, you just go and turn off your console and then turn it back on and it starts from, or I think another way that it could, I don't know if it was triggered by this, but a big thing was because Animal Crossing has time and date related events, you'd go to the DS or Game Boy and change the date, and then that would make them mad as well.
Oh yeah, I've heard of people doing
to
that.
do that.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't do stuff like that. I believe in.
You play by the rules.
But I don't even use mods in Valheim, which is the new psoriasis drug from E. Lilly.
That's why you're still itchy.
It's $600 a month, but Leo's got a coupon.
All right, let's take a break. I actually do want to talk about Adolescence. I didn't even think about this when we booked you, Georgia Dow, but this is a hit show on Netflix. I think it's now the number 2 show of all time on Netflix, bigger than Stranger Things, and it has caused quite a controversy in the UK. Not here so much, but in the UK. And I would like to know what you think about it, Georgia Dow. We have a great panel here. Georgia Dow, our therapist and friend and YouTube star on the Georgia Dow channel, Psychology and Analysis Through Popular Media. Great to see you. Happy Easter to you. Glad you could be here. And congratulations on your kid. I think Hey Frank is fantastic. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Love that. Also, Nicholas De Leon. Oh, Paris Martineau. I threw you, Benito. I went to Nicholas. Nicholas De Leon, senior electronics reporter at Consumer Reports. Great to have you and your One Wolf Moon howling.
Yes. Thank you.
Nice to see you. And now you can show Paris Martineau, who walked today over the Manhattan Bridge.
I'll give you a brief word of advice from Mr. Rossetti. No more resetting. I'm serious here. Oh, yeah. One last thing. Every now and then, go to bed early. Staying up late all the time is for chumps. You got it? Now, scram. Then he burrows back in the ground.
I love it.
Words to live by.
They decided to get a little bit of life lesson in there as well.
You gotta pad the dialogue.
The early bird gets the worm. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Our show today brought to you by Kinsta. Do you know Kinsta? You should know. Switch your hosting to Kinsta right now. You get your first month free. When you run an online business, you have many different hats to wear. It can be overwhelming to manage your web hosting while juggling a million other tasks. Kinsta's managed WordPress hosting is the best. It has an expert team that handles everything. They bundle up all the essentials to make sites stress-free with speeds that wow your visitors. Really important, security that never sleeps. And you'll love the dashboard. So intuitive, you'll wonder why everything isn't this easy. And of course, if you should hit a snag, you can talk to real humans 24/7, 365 days a year. In short, Kinsta is perfect for people who want a professional result without needing a technical background. Kinsta doesn't just, host WordPress websites. No, they host it right, delivering blazing speed. Your website could run 200% faster than other sites, with ironclad security and reliability. And don't worry about moving. They will migrate your entire website for free, and you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. And when it comes to security, Kinsta is in a league of its own. It's one of the few WordPress hosting providers that backs its promises with multiple enterprise certifications. That's really important these days, by the way, because WordPress, it's by itself is very secure, but the add-ons and stuff, Kinsta makes sure you're secure across the board. And their custom control panel is absolutely intuitive. If you need help, you get real WordPress pros, not just an AI chatbot. You get real experts who respond in minutes and can tackle even the trickiest problems. Who uses Kinsta? Some of the biggest sites on the net. TripAdvisor, NASA, Indeed. That's among some of the 3 of the 120,000 businesses that trust Kinsta with their WordPress websites. If you're tired of being your own website support team, switch to hosting with Kinsta and get your first month free. Don't worry about the move. They'll handle the whole transition for you. No tech expertise required. Just pay a visit to kinsta.com/twit to get started. Kinsta, kinsta.com/twit to get your first month free and get the migration bundled in with that too. Kinsta.com/twit. Thank you, Kinsta, for supporting This Week in Tech. So before we talk about Adolescence, I doubt, somehow I feel like, Paris, you probably haven't watched it. No. And you're muted, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
But I
was muted for crunching crackers. I haven't. No, you're correct.
Your eyes said no, and your lips said no.
That's true.
Nicholas, have you watched it?
No, I've seen some discussion online, but I have not watched it.
So it's a mini series on Netflix. It's only, 4 episodes? It's pretty short. And it's not a whodunit. I saw somebody say it's not a whodunit, it's a whydunit. There's a murder. A teenager murders one of his schoolmates, his high school classmates, And the show begins very dramatically with the kid, the young boy being arrested, and then follows his process through the judicial system. It's all shot in a single take from a first-person perspective. So it's a very interesting show to watch.
Whoa.
The acting is done right, Georgia? Would you agree that the acting is superb? The father is actually one of the guys who wrote it. But the reason it's getting a lot of attention, and I imagine the reason that you did a couple of pieces on it, A Therapist Reacts and a Therapist Analysis on it, is it is about young people today, their obsession with social media and the bullying that occurs on social media, and what they call the manoverse, which is, well, you probably, I don't know, is that a term we use in the US, the manoverse, or is that a UK term?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Manosphere.
Manosphere, thank you. See, I don't even know. Manosphere, which is this whole, kind of macho male influencer thing. The young boy, the murderer, it's not a spoiler to say the murderer, is insulted by the girl he murders. She calls him an incel. So now that I saw you did these pieces on it, I'm very curious what you think. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister in England, has had kind of talking groups about this. There's a lot of discussion about it. And even in the US, I was afraid that this would stimulate some sort of anti-social media movement, because I don't know if that's really what I got out of the show. I'm curious what you got out of it, Georgia.
Well, I think that it was one is I just love that they have the discussion, that it opens us up to talk, even if you disagree, because I think that we need to have a discourse over what's happening. I think that we do spend a lot of time on social media, and I think that it does have an effect on what you consume is important, not just for what you eat. We talk a lot about that, but what are you letting your brain eat? Whatever you are spending your time on is having an imprint upon you. And say that we take a population where you're already feeling lonely, you're excluded, you don't belong, and then we put that into your mind of a place where here it's not your fault, these are these answers, these are the people to blame. It's very easy to scapegoat when you're already in a dark place. And so that definitely can have an effect. And I think that having that discussion of what are the things that we are allowing our children consume, because giving them, say, any sort of technology, it's like the perfect babysitter. They stay quiet and you get left alone. For a lot of people, that seems like a fair trade. But what is the effect of that and what are they consuming? We need to be able to have that discussion. Also, the entire familial system. But I think that a lot of times in psychotherapy and psychology, we used to just blame the parents. Like it's always the parents' fault. They've always done something wrong. And that isn't the case. There are a lot of different situations and a lot of different variables that go on to leaving people where they can be influenced by bad actors and things that are going to affect them in a negative way. And we need to be able to have that discussion.
Yeah, the kind of the most moving part of it for me was in the last episode where the parents are saying, we made him. They're blaming themselves. We made him. Mm-hmm. And, but I was surprised there was so much discussion about social media, because it seemed like that really wasn't the most important kind of element in it. It didn't seem like they spent a lot of time blaming social media. I mean, they showed the kid's Instagram, they showed his victim's Instagram, they showed the messages. The investigating police officer's son, who's also a student in the school, finally explains to him what the various emojis mean, and they're all coded, as teenagers always will have some code that adults can't understand. They're coded, and apparently they were bullying messages, even though they were just emojis. But also, the father had rage issues, clearly. His son had massive rage issues, not probably stimulated by social media. In fact, it seemed pretty clear to me that the other kids in the school were consuming the same social media, didn't murder anybody, but he did. Maybe it's a nexus of social media, bullying, and rage issues that caused the problem, and
his own self-esteem and the way that he saw himself and his place in the world. When
he had a very low,
powerless.
Very low self image.
Yeah,
he kept saying, "You think I'm ugly? I think I'm ugly. I'll never have a girlfriend." One of the tenets of this manosphere is that 80% of women are only attracted to 20% of men. So it's very, he had this poor kid, he's like 13 years old, had it in his head that he would never be able to have a relationship with a woman because he wasn't in that 20%. And I could see that would be devastating if you actually believed that at the age of 13.
Yeah. And anything that you hear many times, the reason that advertising works so effectively, even for an adult brain, is that if you hear something over and over again, even if it's a lie, a lot of people, their negative self-talk, they're mostly lies. But we've heard it so many times that we believe it to be true. And then we false positive of whenever we make a mistake, oh, you see, this is even more proof that I am ugly, right? Like that's exactly what he said in one of the scenes. He's like, oh, you see, I am ugly. That's why
ugly. Yeah.
I'm not going to, be able to find someone. No one will ever love me. That's such a feeling of powerlessness. Bullying and its effects are so pervasive, so damaging to who we are. And often then it becomes self-bullying, where we then become adults that are going to bully ourselves and say those same horrible things, but you can never get rid of it. And so that feeds into it. And I think that that's the thing, is that it's a whole village that, has to come together to be able to uphold people and bring them to another level, or can pull them down. And so we need to just be aware of all of the different factors that are there. It's not just one thing.
Do you think, Keir Starmer said that he felt that there were toxic influencers in the UK who trick young men, and that we need to discuss this further, that there is a risky business going on. Do you think that's true?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. There's a ton of toxicity. I don't think it's just to young men though. I think that there's a ton of toxicity on the internet, period. Like,
that's why I'm glad 4chan is gone. Right?
How many? Yeah. Well, I actually got a lot of really positive, kind comments to it, and I'm like, oh, I guess maybe that's why. It's one of these things that, this level of kind of toxic, it's all around, and it affects so many of us that, how many industries would die if we actually truly loved ourselves and we were kind to ourselves?
Right.
Like how many? For adults, not just for kids, right?
Do you work with kids?
Ugly and horrible, and yes, I do.
So do you see this problem cropping up with kids?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the amount of eating disorders, body dysmorphia has profoundly gone up with men. It used to be something that I would see with a lot of teenage girls. Now I see it with a huge amount of men. It used to be like, if you look at the James Bond of the 60s, 70s, I don't know, Sean Connery, whenever he was James Bond, like if you see him without his shirt on, like he has like a dad bod, like a nice bod, like it's fine, but like it's not like
yeah. But if you watch the guys on the White Lotus, you're going to feel pretty inadequate.
But exactly. So it used to be that you could just be a regular guy and you were the sex symbol. And now you have to dehydrate yourself to exhaustion for 3 days.
Every man on the White Lotus had a six pack. I don't understand that. How did that happen?
They're just dehydrating for
they're
3
dehydrating.
days.
Okay.
So that they're almost to death.
Yeah.
To be able to look like that. That's,
okay.
Don't feel bad.
We don't recommend that, by the way. Just want to be clear.
Don't do that. And women don't need to look like that. Like we need to lower.
Henry Cavill, when he was Superman, he said that he was so he could smell a cup of water.
Oh, geez.
That's the extent of.
They're torturing themselves.
Yeah. Well, he's Superman. He could smell water no matter what, though, right?
That's true. I did forget that. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But not The Witcher. The Witcher can't smell water.
No, but he would just grunt.
I watched The Witcher with the subtitles on. Did you ever do that? You got to do that.
No, I haven't.
Because it's like it grunts, and then there's a lot of scoffing. There's scoffing and grunting.
I will
say I'm recently rewatching Twin Peaks. I just finished my first watch of it, but now I'm watching it again with subtitles because I'm not a normal. And almost every episode of Twin Peaks, if you have subtitles on, is just ominous whooshing. Ominous whooshing intensifies.
They gave up trying to describe it.
Ominous whooshing.
Ominous whooshing. We don't know what it is. It's just ominous whooshing. So it's not, it's not inappropriate that the British government says, hey, this is a problem and we need to talk about it.
Absolutely.
You think?
Absolutely. If you would not want bullying and toxicity and people to tell you that you're not good enough and that, the way that you have to get someone is to trick it or be manipulative or to hurt people. And our entire way of discourse, and I don't think that this is just in the UK, our entire discourse is about owning the other person and beating them down in submission. It's no longer to come to truth and to be able to understand and empathize with each other. I think that cancel culture for everyone is just a toxic way to be able to deal with things. So I'm not even just talking about influencers and talking heads. I'm talking about the entire way that our society has upheld people that try to destroy others and to be able to get one on the other person. I think that that's just a horrible way to be able to meet in the middle. You don't have to destroy someone else to be able to feel like you're a bigger person or to feel better than.
What's sad is that the creators of Adolescence are suffering a huge amount of attacks online. They're being doxxed. People are going to their houses. They're fearing for their security.
You see, but that shows how much we need to fix this.
Yeah.
That would happen because you have a disparaging view, even if you disagree with someone, that they cannot say it without you attacking them for that. Why can't we just disagree and be like, I don't feel that way? Why do you have to then destroy someone for having something else? It just brings about this thought of fear. And it's like that. It's like when someone like yells in the courtroom saying, I'm not abusive, and I'm like screaming and yelling at the entire time that they're not abusive. You're like, well, that kind of proves it now, doesn't it?
My knee-jerk reaction is to defend social media. Because I think it takes a lot of the heat for other issues in society, but it does provide a channel for these kinds of purveyors of the manosphere into.
Yes, and I think also the role that social media plays in this, I don't think shouldn't be understated, because part of the reason, obviously, throughout history, we've always had people calling for restrictions on inflammatory content, whether that's valid or not. But I do think that part of what we've seen in this resurgence and emergence of inflammatory content, specifically targeting vulnerable young men, it comes from the fact that the sort of things that do well on social media, be it, YouTube or Twitter, they are going to be things that are inflammatory in some way.
There's an incentive system for
there's an incentive system for content that creates
Yeah.
outrage or really moves you in some way. It's the same sort of reason why inflammatory, often misinformed political content did so well on Facebook back in the day. A piece of advice I always even tell like my parents or like younger family members is, if you see something on the internet, be it a video or an article or a tweet that really makes you feel some way, be it incredibly angry or incredibly happy, like any super strong emotion, you should probably check that, because the real world is never that black and white in one way or another, or it often is not. And I think that the incentives of these content ecosystems make problems like this worse when it comes to radicalization of any group.
And to add to that, Paris, when we're angry or sad or scared, we'll stay on social media, right? We become more narrow-minded and we want to stay in our safe zone. And so often what they've already found, and why Zuckerberg was actually tracking how people reacted, how they felt about different articles by saying, does this make you feel happy or does this make you feel sad, was to find out what kind of articles keep you. They're all fighting for that real estate.
Yeah.
They want you to be there. That's the only way that they make money, is to be able to have you stay. And everyone's fighting for that real estate. And they found that when you are angry or scared, you will stay longer on whatever, social media site it is. If you are happy, you will leave and go off and do something because you're feeling good and you have energy and motivation to take a walk, smell the flowers, buy something, call up someone you love. And so you'll leave. And so that even is a greater incentivizes to have different articles that will fear monger or will be something that is kind of scary or make you really angry. And then you want to fight and you want to deal with things. And then people end up like shouting into the void and hoping that the void will shout back at them. again, I agree, Leo, it's a tool that can be used for good or for ill, but it is not a neutral tool because it is used by people that make money from us staying there. And anytime money is involved, then people are going to be incentivized to be able to make as much money as they can off of us for good or for ill.
And I recognize that I'm an adult, and as an adult, I have better defenses against this stuff. And in fact, I've stopped visiting X because it's become so toxic and unpleasant to go there. I got rid of Facebook's on my phone. I don't have, the only social media I have now is Blue Sky, which I kind of like because it's not quite so toxic. I do think we all have a desire to connect. Mm-hmm. And I think social media does scratch an itch that's genuine and does give us a chance to connect with people. As Paris said, she knows of you as Twitter friends. You know, that's good. I think that's a good thing. But I am an adult, and I recognize that kids don't have the defense. Dustin says this manosphere preys on vulnerable boys and young men with arguably not fully developed brains. He's in our Discord, and poor emotional and social maturity. They're vulnerable. And so that is a reasonable thing to worry about younger minds that are more plastic being exposed to basically con men who, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg just trying to get more engagement so he can show you more ads, or Andrew Tate, you know, trying to get you into the manosphere.
And it's not just young men that are vulnerable to it, or young girls that are vulnerable to it. Also, people that are depressed, people that are anxious, people that are lonely.
That's true. That's a good point. Many adults are vulnerable for other reasons.
Yeah, and a lot of we don't teach being media savvy to anyone, really. It's not something that's taught.
It feels so easy for me to say, I'm not going to, oh God, I have to stop doing that.
You have such a media literacy. You have such a knowledge base. You understand the ways that people advertise to be able to, and proselytize to be able to gather people or try to say something like, this could kill you. Like that will make people click. But you would understand that could means maybe it could not kill you also.
Right. So that brings us to this disturbing study, The Guardian reporting on a report from digital behavior experts called Revealing Reality. I don't know anything about them, but the Guardian says they discovered something, quote, deeply disturbing, a troubling disconnect between Roblox's child-friendly appearance and the reality of what children experience on the platform. A lot of very young kids are on Roblox. Roblox is, thought to be a kids gaming platform, right? Roblox acknowledges, The Guardian says, that children using the platform may be exposed to harmful content and bad actors. It says it's working hard to fix this, but that industry-wide collaboration and government intervention are needed.
Researchers found that basically they created a bunch of test avatars and did a variety of tests on this. And they found that those test avatars, they were avatars that were under 13, or I guess 13.
Ages 5, 9, 10, 13, and 40 plus.
And they found that the kid avatars overheard conversations between adult users, like verbalizing sexual activity, as well as repeated, quote, slurping, kissing, and grunting noises using the voice chat function. They also found that a test avatar registered to an adult was able to ask for the 5-year-old test avatar's Snapchat details using barely coded languages, even though Roblox says that in-game chats are subject to kind of built-in filters and moderation. This is kind of an extension of reporting that has been done by Bloomberg as well as Heisenberg Research, a kind of research and short, a research and reporting outlet tied to some people in the stock and short selling game that recently closed. But they had done a really in-depth report along with Bloomberg, had also done something similar about how Roblox generally seems to lack a lot of the kind of common sense safety initiatives many parents expect, or that those safety initiatives that are already present don't work as clearly as intended.
So this is a video from The Guardian showing the 10-year-old avatar going to a hotel where apparently people are making out. Although I have to say, it's kind of hard to see it. It's a little blocky. Do you think that's dangerous and damaging to kids?
It depends on what's happening. It depends on how often it is. It depends on how vulnerable the child is. Unfortunately, a lot of people that are predatory are going to try.
That's where the kids are. You go there.
So
yeah.
It would be much probably like there's the risk of it being much worse than what this is. And that's where you have to be able to be cued into what are your children doing and, what is it like and how dangerous. Like if your children are playing a game where it's an online game, you should be involved in that game so you kind of know what the risks are and let them be aware of what they should do and not do and when they should let you know.
Revealing Reality said
you have that risk.
The new safety features announced by Roblox last week don't go far enough. Children can still chat with strangers, not on their friends list. And with 6 million different experiences on the platform, Roblox, I haven't played it, but I understand allows you to create a game or create an experience that others can then see. With 6 million of those experiences, often with inaccurate descriptions and ratings, how can parents be expected to moderate? And you wrote a good piece on this, Paris. I remember we talked about age verification. And what's happening in some states, Utah, for instance, is now saying it's up to the stores, the app stores, to do age verification. Neither Apple nor Google want to do this. But Meta and others, and I'm sure Roblox say, we can't do age verification privately, but the stores should do that. It's their responsibility.
Yeah. So kind of what's happening is everybody's trying to figure out a way to punt this away from them, or try and figure it out. On the app and individual side, you have companies like Meta or TikTok, somewhat recently being like, all right, we'll try a little bit of age verification. On TikTok's case, they use kind of a company called Yoti that uses facial age verification, where essentially you take a video selfie and it tries to predict whether or not you're over kind of a target age range. And if it thinks that you're potentially younger than 18 or younger than 25 or whatever the thing is, then it might require you to insert an ID or add a credit card or do some sort of secondary age verification to confirm that you're an adult. Facebook and Meta also use something similar for limited things. However, these tech companies don't really want to be on the hook for this, for all the reasons you might understand. And so instead, they are really heavily lobbying, also through, I guess, trade groups, kind of like NetChoice, for the onus to be on the app stores or the device manufacturers. So they're saying instead of, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and everybody having to do their own age verification and either deal with kind of storing that information themselves or handing it off to a third party. Like instead, this should be the responsibility of Apple or Google to figure out in their devices, or Apple Play Store, where you do one age verification there, and then that device has maybe a code that it can anonymously send to say, confirmed this person's over 18 or under. So it's kind of, everyone is trying to figure out who the buck should stop with, and no one really wants it to be them.
There is a way to do this. Steve Gibson and I were talking about this on Security Now. Steve came up with a solution that would put control in the hands of parents. That the phones, Apple, and I'm curious what you all think about this, Apple or the Google Play Store, or the Google devices or the Samsung devices should have a setting that when you give your kid a phone, you say what the kid's age is as a parent, not necessarily even their chronological age. Could be their emotional age. Could be you as a parent say, I have a mentality of a 9-year-old, but you put that in, that's in the phone, and then it would be possible for any app to say, well, what age is this user, and be responsible for it. But that it's not Apple now that's responsible for saying the age. It's the parent. Apple provides a mechanism for this to be presented privately and safely to these apps. The user of this phone is 9.
But I think that part of what a company like Apple would argue is that then they are responsible for making sure that system works, and they'll be responsible for cases where people get around that or it's deployed inaccurately. And I think the issue is that every company is kind of inching around how to do this, but no one wants to be the company that ends up responsible for this, because they worry, I assume, perhaps rightfully so, that 2 to 5 years down the line, we're going to be having a lot of tough conversations.
Any other solution, though, is not privacy protecting, because if I have to show a driver's license That's right out, right? That's not going to be privacy protecting. And you've done a story on a company that does it kind of by face recognition. I'm seeing more and more companies saying, yeah, we could tell your age roughly by face recognition. I still think that's not the way to do it. I think the power needs to be put in the hands of the parents. The parents should be the ones ultimately who say the user of this phone is emotionally a 9-year-old. And I want her to be protected.
But then the question is, how do you get a phone set up to where, what's the difference between me, an adult, buying an iPhone for myself and being able to set up as an adult? There's a switch that says I'm an adult. Well, I mean, how do you know then, how are you supposed to have it set up to where, what's the difference between my adult phone and a phone that someone buys for a child? Why couldn't someone hand a phone to a child and they'd be like, yeah, I'm an adult?
What about an abusive spouse buying their phone and locking the phone, saying that they're a child so that they can control their partner? Like it becomes kind of messy, is just what
I think it's less messy than any other possible. I agree. It's not perfect, but there's no perfect way to do this. And what we're doing right now is the least perfect, which is not making any attempt in any way to provide this. Parental controls, though, have a long established tradition. You can't force a parent to use parental controls. That's the parent's choice. They're the parent. They should have the choice. But giving them the option to do that and to set in the parental controls an age for their child, whether it's chronological or emotional or whatever they choose, and with some guidance, a screen on the phone that says, is this a child's phone? Yes. To protect your child, we'd like you to set an age for that child so we can show them, allow them to download appropriate and block them from downloading inappropriate apps and content. I think that's doable. It puts it on the parent, which is where it should be. There is no other place to put this. You can't put it on the government. You can't put it on Apple. It's not their responsibility. It's the parent's responsibility.
And I wouldn't really want them to take care of it.
No.
Well, then I guess the question is...
But you want parental controls, right? Yes. That's a good thing.
How do you determine that the person who's buying and setting up the parental controls is over 18? Yeah. You would have to then do some sort of age verification for that end user, which would probably... I mean, the way that most
No, you can't do that. You can't.
Then how do you make any of this work? How do you have it so that a teenager, a 15-year-old goes and buys an iPhone or like and then says, yeah, I'm over 18, or they decide to be the parent account. This is something people did with parental controls on Instagram for a while, where you have like a bunch of 18-year-olds being like, yeah, I'm the parent of these 27,
no, you can't stop that. No, you can't stop that. You can't, period. Anything that is going to be more draconian is going to be a privacy problem. All you can do is give parents control, say, parents, you're in charge. If your kid has a phone, it's up to you to make sure that it's appropriately designated. And some parents will say, no, my 12-year-old should be able to do whatever she wants. And that's, who else is to say that? The government? Do you want government controls on what 12-year-olds can consume? I don't think so. In the English debate, one of the ministers said, boys these days are hooked on gambling, pornography, and gaming. Well, that sounds like
moral panic button.
Yeah, let's go right back to blocking gaming. Just parental controls seem like the only decent way to do this. I won't argue.
Okay, I will say apropos of absolutely nothing. Young adult men are addicted to sports gambling and sports betting.
Is that true?
And it's crazy. I mean, I have a younger sister in her early 20s, and every boy she has ever dated has like a sports gambling addiction.
This is a
All
problem.
the boys love just casually sports gambling. I'm like, it's fine. I make some money. I'm like,
I was very worried.
Guy, you're gambling every day. That's crazy.
It's the same thing with crypto, by the way. A lot of young men think they're making money doing day trading on crypto. I honestly think I was very upset when they legalized sports gambling. They haven't done it yet in California, but they've done it pretty much everywhere else. I think that's a problem.
You can't watch a sports broadcast. You can't listen to a sports podcast.
There are odds everywhere. Yeah,
it's really. I've never gambled. Maybe I have.
We're lucky we don't have that addiction.
No, thank God. Thank God. Like, a lot of people do, but it's like it is everywhere. It is pervasive. It is really like
And
weird.
The thing that really scares me is the prop bet, because you can bet on anything, right? And a real gambling addict will bet on anything. Is the sun coming up in the morning? Let's have a, I say.
And that's the thing is these young men always, whenever I'm like, you're gambling, right? He's like, well, it's totally fine because actually I've got bets on both sides of the table. So no matter what, I'm going to win in some way. And I'm like, listen, you need to go outside and touch grass.
Sports gambling actually is running all of the sports now. Like they fund pretty much everything.
The NFL takes a cut, which is why there's a real hypocrisy when these sporting organizations censure a player for gambling. It's like, okay, come on.
Well, you shouldn't be in the game if you're gambling on it, right? Like you shouldn't probably be the one. Like
I guess.
Okay, but it's fine to be broadcasting the game.
But as the owner of the team, I can gamble all I want.
That's also wrong. Yeah. That's also wrong. Yeah.
No, but it's like that kid. Well, I have it on both sides. See, I get a profit on no matter what happens.
Yeah,
so.
I'm unbiased.
And there there was a pro ball player who got banned from the league for betting on his own team, right?
Yeah.
Pete Rose.
Yeah, Pete Rose, exactly. Yeah, Pete Rose.
Never allowed. Pete Rose was never allowed into the Hall of Fame.
I'm sure that just happens all the time now.
I think
it's still illegal, technically.
I think
You saw the. Well, let's take a break, and then I'm going to tell you about how the Texas lottery got taken down. And they invited it, basically. You're watching This Week in Tech. Georgia Dow, who is helping us with our deeply rooted personal problems. Thank you, Georgia. I'll find an addiction somewhere to share with you. So nice to see you. YouTube.com/Georgia Dow. Always a pleasure. And I'm so pleased that you and Renee are in regular contact. Please give him my love. I miss Renee. I can't wait to see your new show, Impact. All about business.
Voice AI do it.
Yeah, I could ask my voice AI to voice a little something for you. Also, Nicholas De Leon from Consumer Reports, where he is senior electronics reporter, and of course Paris Martineau. Yes. Oh, that wasn't Benito saying Leo? Okay.
Oh, I just said thank you, Leo.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Leo.
Yes. And Paris Martineau, who has enjoyed her. Did you have a mimosa or any kind of
No,
Easter
I had green
brunch?
tea. I had a Diet Coke. I had a lot of dumplings.
Nothing like Diet Coke and dumplings.
It was a delightful spread. We had a big group together, so we got to sit at one of the tables, the big spinny, like lazy Susan in the middle.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. So this is your whole skee ball team.
It was the whole skee ball team and friends.
What's the name of your skee ball team? They have the best name.
The Bourgeois Ski is the name of the skee ball team. And during the fall season, we will rise again.
The fall season is coming soon. Our show today brought to you by, I love it. Our show today brought to you by Oracle. There is a growing expense eating into your company's profits. It's your cloud computing bill. Now, you may have gotten a deal to start, but now the spend is sky high and increasing every year. What if you could cut your cloud bill in half and improve performance at the same time? Well, if you act by May 31st, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help you do just that. OCI is the next generation cloud designed for every workload, where you can run any application, including any AI projects, faster and more securely for less. In fact, Oracle has a special promotion where you can cut your cloud bill in half when you switch to OCI. The savings are real. On average, OCI costs 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Join Modal, Skydance, Zoom, and today's innovative AI tech companies who upgraded to OCI and saved. Offer only for new U.S. customers with a minimum financial commitment. See if you qualify for half off at oracle.com/twit. That's oracle.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Tech. You support us when you go to that address. That way they know you saw it here. Oracle.com/twit. So I've always been told, and I had on the radio show used to have a statistician, a lottery expert. I've always been told, there's always been this thought, what if you bought all the numbers in a lottery, guaranteeing you a winning ticket? Why wouldn't that make you money, especially if the lottery is one of those that turns over and the pot gets bigger and bigger? In fact, the Texas lottery got to $95 million, even though there are only 25.8 million potential combinations. That simple math would tell you, if I buy 25.8 million $1 tickets, but I'm guaranteed a jackpot of 95 million, I'm going to make $60 million. In the spring of 2023, a London banker turned bookmaker reached out to a few contacts with an audacious request. Can you help me take down the Texas lottery? They set up a shop, this is from the Wall Street Journal, in a defunct dentist's office, a warehouse, 2 other spots in Texas. And then, and this is the key, they bought official Texas lottery ticket printing terminals, dozens of them. Over 3 days, they got those machines spitting out 100 tickets every second to buy every single number. Now, remember, in order to do this, you have to have $28.5 million. This guy, nicknamed the Joker, apparently had the money.
Of course, nicknamed the Joker.
The Joker, here he is.
You can't have a normal nickname if you're setting up lotto ticket machines in abandoned dentist's offices.
Zelko Ranojicek, nicknamed the Joker. Yeah, that's why it's a nickname. Apparently, they've done this before. That's where they got the stake. They bet an estimated $10 billion annually. And I guess they're making money on it.
And is it legal? Is the Texas lottery cool with this?
Well, State Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick called the win the biggest theft from the people of Texas in the history of Texas. But their lawyer says all applicable laws, rules, and regulations were followed.
So the only issue here would be if like 1 or 2 other people also won, and they would have had to split that.
And that's why the experts told me this will never work, because the higher the pot, the more people buy in, and you have to share your winning ticket with any other winning tickets. So the theory has always been you couldn't possibly win because more people would buy, and then you would divide your winnings, and you wouldn't win in the long run.
It's just still a gamble. It's not sure. It's not a sure thing.
So in Texas, as in many states, this is the Wall Street Journal again, most people play the lottery, go to a store, buy a ticket, then walk away. But in 2023, Texas allowed online lottery ticket vendors to set up shops to print tickets for their customers. Online lottery ticket winners. So the Joker recruited one such seller, lottery.com, to help with logistics of buying and printing the millions of tickets. They get a 5% commission. Texas Lottery Commission allowed dozens of terminals to be delivered to these 4 locations. They waited until the pot was big enough. But yeah, I wonder how they got around this. They didn't buy things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because so many other players would choose them. They only bought 99.3% of the numbers.
That seems like a risk.
Yeah, so it's even more of a gamble. Yeah.
Wouldn't you just buy the seems like
he's apparently a prolific gambler.
I guess.
Who's known for his horse betting, blackjack, and other forms of
$10 billion a year he bets.
Yeah, so it's really just like really high stakes gambling is what this is.
He was the only winner
compared to regular gambling, because if you own at least 99.3, it's better odds than for most gamblers.
Yeah, but your buy-in is 25 million.
Yeah, that's the problem. You have to have some money to start with.
I'm not part of this game.
Yeah. It's the biggest jackpot since 2010. They bought the only winning ticket. They had the only winning ticket. 3, 5, 18, 29, 30, and 52.
Those were my numbers.
Now, once they heard the numbers, they had to go through all of the boxes.
They had to find the physical
find
ticket?
the winning.
They didn't sort it properly. That's their fault.
Yeah, no, they have to file it carefully, right?
They didn't. Right. They should have boxed those properly.
Lottery.com made $264,000 in sales commission. The Houston Chronicle broke the story. But I don't know if there's anything they can do about it. And in fact, it may happen again. The lottery is now up to $60 million. The Texas Lottery Commission, however, has pushed out a software update that limits the number of tickets a terminal can sell in a day. Oh,
they just need more terminals. They just need more terminals.
Does it say how much they made at the end of the day?
Yeah, they made $60 million.
No, because some of that gets taxed, and then there was a capital investment and all the stuff they had to do to set it up. So
yeah, well,
what was their last take at the end?
Yeah, New York Times said the Texas officials basically invited this.
I was going to say, this guy has run a number of gambling syndicates that have had to either shut down or been subject to tax audit controversies in various countries due to questionable legality, as to a similar situation to this, where it's like, it seems legal, but then the investigators are like, no, it's not, maybe. So this seems fairly par for the course for him.
Here is a woman who publishes a website on the Texas Lottery, and I think you could look at her face and see how she is not happy about this.
That is a level of helmet hair I didn't think was possible outside of the White House.
She looks pretty upset, I would say.
This is really just like exploiting a game, though, right? This is
Don Nettles.
Yeah, they're playing to win.
Yeah.
It's usually just the government that wins.
Exactly. Yeah.
They asked the state for permission.
He sometimes
And
registers, instead of going under Zeklov Ranojevic, he sometimes registered under his wife's surname, registering as John Wilson for investment or gambling endeavors, which I suppose would confuse people, certainly.
If I had a nickname, the Joker, I would stick with that.
Yeah.
Just call me the Joker. I played these crosswalks you don't mind if I intelligent machines. You don't mind if I play them again, do you?
Never.
Speaking of hacking, this is another kind of hacking. These are the crosswalks in Palo Alto, California. You know how they have for blind people, they have they speech on the crosswalks, where they talk, right? Somebody hacked the Palo Alto crosswalks.
You're still muted.
Yeah, I know.
Hi, this is Elon Musk. Welcome to Palo Alto, the home of Tesla engineering. You know, they say money can't buy happiness. And yeah, okay. I guess that's true. God knows I've tried. But it can buy a Cybertruck, and that's pretty sick, right? Right? Fuck, I'm so alone.
That was one. Elon Musk,
right out in the wild.
Yeah, this was last weekend. City employee was the first to report the issue. University Avenue and High Street. Downtown Palo Alto is a very high-tech capital. I mean, it's the place. It's hysterical.
Did you read the follow-up on how they did this?
No. How did they do
all
it, Benito?
All the codes, all the PIN numbers were 1, 2, 3, 4 to access that stuff.
Oh my God, no way. That's almost as bad. The passcode is passcode. Password is password. That's great.
Because nobody thought anybody would hack. Nobody expected anybody would hack the crosswalk messages. They just thought, why would anybody do that? The other one was Mark Zuckerberg.
The Mark Zuckerberg one is good.
Yeah, and by the way, these are imitations. They're obviously not the Mark Zuckerberg here.
No, Elon Musk is inside there. They just made him really small.
Yeah, right. They made him really small.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Mark Zuckerberg, but real ones call me the Zuck. You know, it's normal to feel uncomfortable or even violated as we forcefully insert AI into every facet of your conscious experience. And I just want to assure you, you don't need to worry, because there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Anyway.
Not creepy at all.
I just think that's a great art project. or a hacker project or something.
On a similar note, there's an article about it's 89 in the rundown. China had the world's first robot marathon.
Did you see recently. The videos of that? Yeah, half marathon, right?
I'll read the lead from Bloomberg. Some of China's best humanoid robots took on the challenge of racing against human marathon runners on Saturday. One fell at the starting line. Another's head fell off and rolled in the ground. And one collapsed and broke into pieces.
Oh, no.
There were ones that started smoking. Another one could only run 1 mile an hour and had to be tagged out. It was a bad time.
One went all the way, 5'10" Tiangong Ultra. Made it for the half marathon, which is 13 miles, right? In 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Far beyond the hour-long performance of a human gold medalist.
Yeah, but it's a robot.
Okay. During that basically 3 hours the robot ran, it had a team of people running behind it to switch out its batteries.
Oh, I was wondering how they got that battery life.
It also had a guy running directly in front of it, doing the moves that they wanted the robot to do so that the robot wouldn't have to think about how to run. It could just mimic the guy.
It was copying the guy?
Yeah, there was a guy. It had a guy to follow.
Really should get the medal.
That guy came through first.
This is Little Giant, developed by local college students. It only got 75 centimeters. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was only 75 centimeters high. It goes around 1.4 miles an hour. At one point, it paused briefly after smoke spewed out of its head.
I would pay to watch that.
It took 1 fall and 3 batteries for Tiangong to score the win, with the jersey sporting machine leading the robot contestants through the race.
That's the most impressive
wearing
thing.
A signaling device on his lower back ran ahead of the bot for it to mimic its moves. Most of the other androids were controlled by joysticks with human operators running alongside of them. Some had leashes.
Yes, I saw some of them had leashes. I wasn't sure why. Like, are they going to? They're afraid they're going to run off.
Down.
They're worried they could run into traffic, like a parent.
Yeah, they don't want them
with
to
a
fall
toddler.
down and it's $1 million of repairs.
This needs to be a reality show.
There was one that was a Gundam. There was a Gundam that
really.
The thing is,
lost control and crashed into the barricade separating the human and robot.
We laugh now. But I want to remind you, 15 years ago, during the DARPA Grand Challenge for self-driving vehicles, it was rare for a vehicle to get more than 10 feet down the road before hurtling off the road. I mean, and we thought it was funny. We laughed.
Yeah.
This is a first step.
It's the first couple steps until they start smoking and fall over. But just in case you're worried that this robot competition is too masculine, they had exactly one female-looking robot, Han, who was equipped with a mannequin-esque head and stormtrooper-style armor. She collapsed shortly after the start, scattering body armor on the track. It did not continue the race. So women can't, but I guess they can try at least in robot form.
Jammer B is suggesting the show title. We had some good ones so far. Be Some Had Leashes. Are you ready for a social now that we've decided social networks are destroying society, are you ready for one from OpenAI?
Is it just going to be the bots talking to each other? Like, who's going to be posting?
OpenAI is working with its own X-like social network. Working on its own X-like social network, it's interesting. The Verge is now finally calling it X, not Twitter. According to multiple sources familiar with the matter, the project is still in early stages. The Verge got this scoop. We're told there's an internal prototype focused on ChatGPT's image generation that has a social feed. Yeah, wait a minute. What? Sam Altman has been privately asking outsiders for feedback about the project. That's, I think, where they got the leak. It's unclear if OpenAI's plan is to release the social network as a separate app or integrate it into ChatGPT. We certainly spend many, many hours chatting with ChatGPT, don't we?
Some of us do, yeah.
You don't?
This just seems like a place for them to collect more data, right? That's what this is. They just want more data.
Yeah.
And more usage time, I mean, I think social networks are particularly sticky. We've yet to see the stickiness of one-on-one chatbot things, I guess, over the same time period that we've been able to observe the stickiness of social networks. I could totally see why a company would want to combine the two.
Yeah. You did see did I mention it on this show, or I did mention it. It costs money for you to say thank you to OpenAI.
I assume that it would also, like, the part of the training would be the relationships between all of its users, right? Like, that's now it knows, like, the relationship.
Well, yeah, you want to build a social graph. I mean, that's what made Facebook so successful, right? This knowledge about how we're all interconnected.
And that becomes part of the training data now.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, actually. Palantir. So I started reading Alex Karp's new book, The Technological Republic. I wanted to give it a chance. He's the founder of Palantir, along with Peter Thiel. Palantir is an AI company designed to make money by charging the government for national defense projects. And they've made a lot of money. They made Alex Karp a billionaire. His book kind of makes the argument that Silicon Valley should be working for national defense instead of just designing, a better way to show ads or, silly social networks or gadgets. And I have to say, I can't disagree that there's a lot of brain power being used on pretty trivial stuff these days in Silicon Valley. Yeah. He says if people, engineers in the last century, in the 20th century, worked with government to create things like NASA and the atom bomb and the internet, and we're losing out because we're not doing that anymore. But then in the book, he makes a pitch that's why you should come to work for us at Palantir. He's actually obviously an intellectual. He invokes everything from the philosopher Habermas, with whom he studied as a graduate student, to Keith Johnstone, who wrote a famous book about improvisation. He thinks companies should be run like improv troupes. Well, 404 has
he ever witnessed an improv troupe? There's more drama in the average improv troupe than every company in Silicon Valley combined. They're all dating each other and in a constant free fall of social relationships.
He says you don't want hierarchy if you want to create something great. The leader has to shift.
Has he ever taken an improv class? A classic early improv class is you draw cards to then determine what the hierarchy of the scene is, because having hierarchy is part of comedy. Right. Go to an improv 101 class, Alex Karp.
But it's fungible, right? The hierarchy is always changing, and sometimes you're the leader, sometimes I'm the leader. It's kind of like intelligent machines, really, to be honest.
Perhaps.
404 has leaked Palantir's plan to help ICE deport people. So Palantir, in the book, he says, among other things we've done at Palantir, and it was hard. The brass and the Pentagon really didn't want us to do it. They didn't have ways that you could procure AI from us. So the troops just went behind their back and used our AI to find IEDs. Because that was a big problem in Afghanistan. A lot of lives were lost. People were severely injured by these improvised explosive devices. So we turned our AI genius into ways to predict where there would be an IED and save many lives, he claims. Now, Palantir wants to help ICE deport people. Finding the physical location of people who are marked for deportation, according to Palantir Slacks and other internal messages obtained by 404 Media. 404 is doing great work these days. Joseph Cox writing the story. The leak shows that Palantir's work with ICE includes producing leads for law enforcement to find people to deport. Oh, what could possibly go wrong? And keeping track of the logistics of the mass deportation effort. The internal communications also show Palantir's leadership preparing for a potential backlash from employees, or outsiders. So they wrote FAQs that can be sent to family and friends. If they ask you about our work with ICE, here's what you should tell them. Hey, all.
How this ends. I've seen Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Palantir. That's the Seeing Stone, right? that Saruman was using, right?
Yeah.
Over the last few weeks, we prototyped a new set of data integrations and workflow within ICE. The new administration's focus on leveraging data to drive enforcement operations has accelerated these efforts.
Absolutely meaningless.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I hope it's useless and meaningless. But of course, the greater fear is false positives that AI often generates with face recognition and other tools. And there was a story this week about Clearview AI, and that was started really with the intent of doing that. This is a story from Mother Jones. The shocking far-right agenda behind the facial recognition tech used by ICE and the FBI. Thousands of newly obtained documents show that Clearview AI's founders always intended to target immigrants and the political left. That was their goal. They got in a little bit of trouble because they were scraping all the face images from the internet they could find. They also got in trouble because Clearview AI had a particular trouble with people of color. Didn't do a very good job. And there were a lot of false positives. Turns out they didn't really care about that.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? So there you have it. A couple of uses for AI that are perhaps not the best.
I think it's fascinating how the guy from Palantir is like, he's trying to say that this technology is about it's like the internet, right? Like it's the internet.
Yeah, it's good for us.
It's as important as the internet.
Well, it's very believable at first. Maybe it's part like the manosphere. He starts out by saying, look, we got to defend our way of life. We got to defend this country. And I'm not against that. I think it's true. There are adversaries that we don't want to attack us or invade us. So it's not unreasonable to have a strong national defense. And he says, that's all we're doing. We just need to, devote our intelligence.
We just need to let the computers that have no responsibility or oversight decide who gets sent to prisons in foreign lands.
Well, I confess
and
it
never
has
returned.
a lot. It is a little more scary when you see this now being done without due process, without trials, just based on whatever the AI says. He's in the gang. He's got a tulip on his lapel or whatever. And that's getting a little scary. The willingness of our government to bypass constitutional protections and send people to what is essentially a torture cell, a torture prison in El Salvador, makes this much more scary technology. It just gives them deniability. Yeah, the AI told us to do it.
Yeah, it's computer says no. That's what that is.
Computer says no. Yeah. New Jersey is suing Discord. Actually, let me take a break and then we'll get to that.
Suing over what? You'll have to continue listening to find out.
Stay tuned. Why would New Jersey be suing Discord? I wonder. Our show today brought to you by Monarch Money. I have been using this lately. In fact, I liked it so much I signed up for a year. Finances are tricky, especially nowadays, right? Can be very confusing. Stock market go up, number go down, all over the place in circles. Monarch Money is like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility, full control, so you could stop just, earning and start really growing your investments. It's a lot more than an average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, your investments, your goals. You don't just manage your money, start building your wealth. And by the way, we've made it very easy to do this now because with Monarch Money, you can start building your wealth with 50% off your first year when you go to monarchmoney.com and use the offer code TWIT. By the way, this was the easiest. I've tried this with other apps. This was the easiest one that I could link to everything. Now, in one place, I know everything. I know how much I've lost in the stock market. I know how much I've gained in the real estate market. I know what, look, ignorance is not bliss when it comes to this. You kind of need to know what's going on. Plus, it helps me with budgets. It says you made this much this month. You spent this much this month. Lisa and I can compare finances. It helps me with the investments. It helps me with changing my investments. When the time comes, I got weekly spending reviews. Start managing your finances to build the life that you actually want. Without a clear financial picture, financial dreams go poof. You'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. No more bounced checks. Everything is in its place. You can track your spending, your savings, your investments effortlessly. You can save for your future, your retirement, that house. Focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. Ignorance is not bliss in this case. It's good to know, and this makes it so easy. Monarch Money is a finance tool people actually love. Over 1 million households now. Wall Street Journal has named it the best budgeting app of 2025. It's a top recommended personal finance app by users and experts. Over 30,000 5-star reviews. And I will tell you, I love it. It's beautiful. It's easy to use. It works everywhere I am. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. monarchmoney.com and use the offer code TWIT. You do that in your browser. That's the only way you can get this half off your first year. Get 50% off your first year when you go to monarchmoney.com. monarchmoney.com. The offer code is TWIT. I really, really enjoy this. All right, last few stories before we wrap this thing up on our Easter Sunday episode. So good to have Georgia Dow and Paris Martineau and Nicholas De Leon here. Thank you guys for giving up the. Did you when the kids were little, Georgia? And you're the only one with kids here, so I can say Georgia. Did you do the Easter egg hunt thing? Was that? Yeah, you don't do that anymore,
it's
though.
So much fun.
Hey, Frank's outgrown that, right?
Oh, it's just different now. Now he just searches around the house for where I've hidden all of my Cadbury cream eggs.
Yeah, where are those chocolate bunnies?
Yeah, exactly.
Lisa gave our 22-year-old son a chocolate bunny that's about this big. It's huge.
Yeah, you just get more expensive chocolate now.
It's the giantest bunny I ever saw. Do you eat the ears off or the tail off first? This is very important.
It's the story of the two bunnies that are staring at each other, and one of them has its ears bitten off, and the other one has its butt bitten, and one of them goes, "My butt hurts," and the other one goes, "Huh?"
Oh, that's good. I like it. And you say, Paris, you say the ears.
Yeah, you unwrap the ears first.
Those are the most obvious place to bite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good mouthfeel. And you can't have any of that hollow chocolate bunny stuff. It's got to be a solid chocolate bunny.
Well, if it's a foot tall or foot and a half tall, you don't want a solid one. It'd be a lot of chocolate.
Well, listen, I mean, that's a challenge. If you don't want that much chocolate, then you're a coward.
Did you ever do this, Georgia? We used to do this. It was so fun. Lisa I would help her with this. I cut out a bunny paw print that's about this big, 8-inch bunny paw print in cardboard. And then we'd sprinkle powdered sugar over it all the way down through the yard, out the back door, through the yard, over the fence. Did you ever do that?
That's so cute.
I've done that with sparkles for the Tooth Fairy. It didn't end well. It ended up just having sparkles all over the place, and that was the end of that.
That's why powdered sugar is a good choice.
Except I remember the trauma of having sparkles all over the place.
He was really little, he believed it. He was like, it was so cute. The Easter Bunny's been here. Little powdered sugar footprints.
Love it.
That's so cute.
Love it until the ants show up.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Oh. I'm blurry. I don't know.
You've gone out of focus completely.
I don't know what happened.
That's all right. You're fading away.
The camera's getting tired. The camera's
That's
it's been
right.
3 hours.
It has been a long. No, you're right. It has. Let's wrap this up. I have to finish this story. New Jersey sues Discord for failing to protect children.
Not the children.
Not the children. The New Jersey Attorney General says that Discord's features to keep children under 13 safe are inadequate. See, this is why, again, I'm going to come back to that great solution, which is let the platform do it. A few years ago, so the Attorney General of New Jersey, who is named Platkin, Matthew Platkin, says there were a few years ago, a family friend came to him astonished that his 10-year-old was able to sign up for Discord. I am astonished. The other one was a little more serious, the mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. where the shooter used Discord as his personal diary in the lead up to the attack and then live streamed it on Discord. Don't do that. That's terrible. But is this Discord's fault? The AG says it is.
Well, I mean, I suppose if you're specifically looking at Discord having users under the age of 13 and not applying the kind of provisions established during COPA, under COPA on them, that is certainly a problem.
But what can you do besides saying, are you 13? And then
this is the open secret of the entire internet, is that all the websites, all they do is say, you, by entering this and clicking this box, you attest that you're over 13, pinky promise, we have to believe
pinky
you.
Swear.
And increasingly, regulators, from attorney generals to people in Congress to regulatory agencies, are saying that's not good enough. And we still haven't figured out what is the alternative.
I think that it goes to who really should be watching over what your children are doing.
And who should it be, Georgia? Well, the Attorney General of New York?
Probably not. Like, there's just too many kids out there for them to be able to police.
Maybe and
they're just smarter than us. Let's just say it. They'll find ways to be able to skirt any of the rules. So,
I mean, and that's sorry, continue.
Yeah, you have to be able to watch over them, to be able to know what they're doing, and to have to take care.
Well, that's the problem. Kids are always going to go off and do things, right?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, that's their job. Their job is to try to make as much trouble as possible, and our job is to try to keep them under wraps. But the thing is that if minimum wage is able to cover so little and you have to work 2 jobs, then how do you watch over your kids too? So it's the blame can be kind of given to many different sets of things. It's so much easier to just say parents should do a better job. But when they are working so hard to try to put food on the table and not starve to death and die, if you're working 2 jobs, you can't be there with your child.
I understand. But do give them the tool. Start by giving them the tools, right?
And I mean, I think what Georgia just said is a really important point. Like, I've had a lot of conversations with parents of like immense privilege, like a woman who incredible financial resources. She has 3 children. At the time, she was taking time off work to kind of be a full-time parent while also maybe dabbling in some nonprofit stuff on the side. And she was like, even for me, a parent with immense resources, I am struggling to do this. She's like, I've got all the things downloaded on all of my kids' phones. I have specific phones that will block them from stuff, and software set up in the back that if they access any of this content that I've considered like, yellow flag or red flag content, and then it'll notify me and I can, approve or disapprove it. And she's like, even with that, I get like 500 notifications a day. And she's like, I don't have time to go through that every single day at every single moment. She's like, how would any person with a normal amount of responsibility, much less a high amount of responsibility, maybe a single mother or a single father, how are they supposed to do any of this successfully if these companies aren't providing the tools necessary for parents to kind of take control of their kids' experience? And we've only recently had that in the last year or two, that companies like Meta and TikTok are rolling out more robust parental controls. And it is, I feel like, too soon to say is whether or not those are enough.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have any parental controls because we already know that if you do not start something that's addictive before the age of 18,
that's
the
true.
odds of you going to it are very little. So they
do want
to
you
try to grab kids as early as possible. So they will do the most lax things as possible so that they can grab as many kids as they can early, get them latched on.
Kids also have the most time to just chill on Facebook.
That is true.
Yeah.
Is it anything like sneaking into an R-rated movie?
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
in
but
a lot
it's
of cases,
different.
It is sneaking into an R-rated movie.
It's different in the sense that sneaking into an R-rated movie, in the way that you're describing it, back in the day, that was a discrete event. You sneak into the movie and you see one movie. Maybe if you're crazy, you're going to be out with your friends and maybe sneak into a second movie. If you're in, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I just flung a fork across my desk. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that's how passionate I got. Maybe if you're insane, you sneak into a third movie, but there's a temporal limit and like a physical space limit. At a certain point, your parents will be like, "Where is my child? They're
that's
not
a
at
good
home."
point.
But
they
if you
only
have
watch a few.
If this kid has a phone and is able to access all of this content all of the time, 24/7, that's a bit, it ramps up. And if that is not one app, not two, but 3 or 5 or 10, plus anything they can get on the internet as well, that just makes it more complicated. I mean, I don't think that it should be some sort of nanny state that is policing every action that kids do, but I do think that parents, by and large, are kind of calling out for help because they find it incredibly difficult to parent effectively given the tools that they have currently.
Well, they don't have to give the kid a phone or a computer.
I mean, for most parents, I don't know the age of your kids, Georgia, but the parents that I hear nowadays of like people, even of elementary or middle school parents, they'll be like, every child in my kid's middle school class has a phone and they are bullying the child incessantly for not having one.
Well,
or I'm being left out of practice. I'm being left out of homework assignments. Yeah. It's a social contagion.
Absolutely. I didn't want to give my children a computer or tablet. And in their elementary school, it was obligatory. They had to have
Yes, that's not unusual.
Yeah. Because of that, it forced my hand that I had absolutely no say in the matter of them having access to that before I wanted them to be able to have access to it. And then if we add to the state that your brain is wiring, whatever you're doing at any moment in time, your brain is wiring itself to get better at that. And so if we're having something that you're getting this immediate feedback from whatever it might be, any type of dopamine, we're wiring their brains to become more easily addictive and having shorter and shorter attention spans. And that effect is pretty hardwired because neurons that fire together wire together.
Well, I don't want to leave the show on a negative note, so let me leave it on a high note.
Sorry, that was a positive. Was I meaning it negative? No, sorry.
I just want to know if Paris has a little, like, it's not like a pen jar, it's like a fork jar with a bunch of forks in it. Just by your, so whenever you need a fork, you got one
just
right
in
there.
Case.
Just in case. You need a little fork holder on your desk.
Sometimes during the outbreak, you go and you get a little plate of crackers and smoked lox that you got at Fish Friday.
Yeah.
Sometimes an errant hand gesture flings the fork across your keyboard.
These things happen.
You got to continue on.
Here's the good news. Scientists have found promising indications of extraterrestrial light, and it's only 124 light years away.
Is this good news? This stresses me out.
Don't worry.
Depends your thoughts on aliens.
It's just dimethyl sulfide, a potential biosignature of marine microorganisms. This got a lot of attention. This got almost as much attention as the direwolf story from last week and was almost equally bogus. They did not.
Makes me think of that planet in Interstellar with the big waves.
Oh, I love that. And
the
1 minute
planet
on the planet is like 7 years in the real
20
world.
20 years? Oh, it's so stressful.
Yeah. And poor Matthew McConaughey got stuck down there. And then he has to watch the video of his kids growing up and he cries and he cries.
And then I cry.
And then
the IMAX continues. And, that's
with
what
the
I'm
help
imagining is going to happen.
The good news is this is with the help of the James Webb Space Telescope. That's very cool. Biosignatures of marine microorganisms. Unfortunately, this dimethyl sulfide can also occur because of other chemical processes. It's not necessarily life, but it could be. And it's kind of a cool planet. It is a watery planet. Its year is only 33 days long. It is in the Goldilocks zone. It's what they call a Hycean planet, a class of worlds characterized by having vast liquid oceans and a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. I mean, really, if you're gonna be a marine microorganism, that's the place to be.
Are they water oceans or are they something else?
Yeah, they think they're water oceans.
It's 1901 over there. To them, it's 1901 here.
Yeah, it's ancient times. 124 light years away. They're watching us going, gee, I wonder if they'll ever figure out how to fly. Anyway, I think it's maybe possible. I wasn't even going to do this story, but Lisa was so excited about it. I said, all right, we'll do this story. She likes the idea that there's extraterrestrial life out there.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Paris Martineau, the information. Nope. Sorry. That's a force of habit. Tech journalist currently in the mood for a new job, if you've got one, right?
Yep.
Fire away. We're talking around.
If you're a person that works in tech and you've got an interesting story to report, hit me up.
Wouldn't that be the way to do it? Have like the hottest story in the world. And
you can reach out to me at tips@paris.nyc.
Yeah. Don't use your work email. Give her a scoop. Or martino.01 on the Signal. And I will see you this Wednesday for Intelligent Machines.
Days.
Yeah. Thank you, Paris. It's great to see you. Always a pleasure.
Great to be here.
Nicholas De Leon, he is the senior electronics reporter at Consumer Reports. Always great to see you. Please give my regards to your wonderful Ashley.
Yes, thank you, Leo.
Thank you. You guys are so much fun. We had a great time down there in Tucson. Anything you want to plug? You gonna do anything out there in the world, or
just go to the Consumer Reports website? That's fine. Like I said, I mean, I'm still on X, but I feel like these things are less fun than they used to be. I suppose.
They are not fun anymore. Not for me.
So just go to the CR website, subscribe, and read our stuff.
Yeah,
that's about it.
There you go. I've been a member since like 1980. Very happy to say, love it. Wouldn't buy a thing without the recommendation of Consumer Reports, and that's
actually I don't. Me too. Like it's funny. Like as I've gotten older, I'm like, man, I'm literally about to start the process for like buying a new refrigerator.
Yeah, you got to look at Consumer Reports.
I could actually ask the guy, but like this is
the guys.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they do. So
I do remember. I used to. My wife said, "Why do you buy that shampoo?" I said it was highly rated on Consumer Reports. She said, "Those guys wash their hair with soap. You should not take their reviews for cosmetics seriously." I said, "I don't know. I don't think that's true." So there. I was actually always been inspired by Consumer Reports and its ad-free policy. I really think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as I've said many times, it's very nice to be in an organization where you're not really subject to the pressures of, other outlets where it's like, ad sales are weak. What do we do?
Right.
We're not impervious to market conditions, but we're a little bit
isolated. A little bit.
I mean, a little isolated.
It's supported by its subscribers, which I think is the best way to go. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you also to the wonderful Georgia Dow. She's on YouTube, youtube.com/Georgia Dow. It's a Therapist Reacts. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm looking forward to your new thing with Mr. Ritchie. That's going to be cool.
It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Leo,
please.
Anthony's asked me to ask, and he's going to be really upset if I don't.
Okay.
But the Altair 800, is it behind you?
8800 behind me?
800, sorry.
Yeah.
He'll be all upset that I said that wrong. Is it real?
No.
Is it like a replica? He wants to know.
Yes, it's a replica.
You've got a fake computer behind you?
Hey, it's a computer. It's got a Raspberry Pi in it. So the one on the top is a PDP-11, although they call it a Pi DP because it's got a Raspberry Pi inside. But it's the funny thing is a Raspberry Pi is actually faster than the processor in a PDP-11. So they have to slow it down, but it's running PDP-11 code and OS. And the Altair, I don't know what's in that, to be honest with you. But it is running a game, and you can program it by flipping the switches on the back.
He's very jealous. He wants it. Which
good on Anthony for recognizing it.
Oh, no. He's all in, like, he keeps on, anyways. Yeah.
You should go to you could drive down to the antique computer show, the Vintage Computer Festival they have.
I think that was,
yeah, you should go. There was recently one on the East Coast, but I think they have a West Coast.
Paris was talking about it. Yeah. VCF. They had all these old computers, including.
They have a huge marketplace for old computers.
Yeah. You could probably get a reel.
Don't say it.
Going to come back with a wheelbarrow full of.
We found out about Marketplace, and it's been.
Bad news. Bad news. The VCF East was just happened, I think.
Yeah. They have other ones, though.
But they're all over the country. They're Southwest, West, Midwest.
Don't look. Avert your eyes.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. All this old stuff. It's really great. It's really great. Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you for having me.
Great to see you. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Paris. Thanks to all of you who joined us. Special thanks to our Club Twit members who make these shows possible. Yes, we have advertising, but advertising does not cover all our costs, not even close. And so a couple of years ago, we thought, instead of cutting back, maybe we should go to our audience and say, would you like to support us? And you guys have responded with vigor. I really appreciate it. $7 a month. I think it's nice. It's a very low cost. We try to make it affordable. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get special events. We did yesterday or Friday, I guess it was. We did a coffee segment with our friend Mark Prince, the coffee geek. We do all sorts of fun stuff, photo segments. Micah does his crafting corner every month. Our AI user group is coming up next Friday. If you want to find out more, twit.tv/clubtwit. We would love to have you in the club. And I will give you a little insider tip. Buy now while the prices are low. Because I think we're going to have to raise the, not a lot, but I think we're going to have to raise the club membership a couple of bucks soon because it's getting a little tight, to be honest. But I promise you, if you're already a member, we will not raise it on you. So lock in that $7 a month, $84 a year. Yes, we've added an annual as well. twit.tv/clubtwit. You can watch the show if you're in the club on our Discord. We do the show every Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 2100 UTC. You can also watch it, whether you're in the club or not, on YouTube. There are people, hundreds of them watching right now on YouTube, Twitch, X.com, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Kick. Watch however you want, but you don't have to watch live. You can if you want to. If you watch live, you can chat with me, and that's nice. I see all you chatters in there talking about things. If you don't want to watch live, and I know it's you have to be around on a Sunday evening, you can always download the show at our website, twit.tv. There's audio or video. There's also a YouTube channel dedicated to This Week in Tech. And, of course, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast player and get it automatically. It's free. It's free thanks to our club members and our wonderful advertisers. And if you're not a member of the club, join us. All right? Thanks for being here, everybody. And we're in our 21st year now. It's official. And again, woof, amazing, huh?
Please just pour your beverage directly into whatever thing is playing your podcast right now, just to celebrate, please.
No, don't do that. Please don't.
That's the official guidance from this.
We had a great last week. We did our 20th anniversary. We had all these wonderful videos from there was a fire eater. There were not one, but two guys driving tractors. There was a guy
I'm going to say it again. I say it all the time on Intelligent Machines. We as an audience of Twit have to bully Leo into bringing back the 24-hour Twit live stream where we do content every hour for 24 hours. And last time Leo got a tattoo at midnight, and I think we could make it happen again.
I got a tattoo and I got my head shaved, but it was for charity.
But not a tattoo on his shaved head, just to be clear.
The tattoo's on my behind.
Oh.
It's very small. It's as small a tattoo as you could get. It was
from
midnight.
The only sober tattoo artist on New Year's Eve.
We called around and everybody was, and there was this one guy who was a non-drinker. And he said, I just went to bed. We said, it's for UNICEF. It's charity. And he waved his fee, donated his fee to UNICEF, and gave me the world's smallest tattoo. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.
This is